This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the ball, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judging blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to round two, day two of the winter meetings from Dallas, Texas. I just realized something, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. And because normally when I've been here for sports, you got to remember when we're here, we're down in Arlington, which is about 20, no traffic, about 20, 25 minutes from here. But, you know, all the times I've been to Dallas, I've never been to the grassy knoll where President Kennedy was assassinated, where obviously a lot of theories behind that over all these years. I want to go to the grassy knoll.
I think we're going to try to go. Mickey Mantle's here. Sorry, we love that game.
Wow, you were like squirrel.
Well, it's funny because the old Yankee jerseys didn't have their name on the back. But yes, we might have time to go tomorrow after we're done on the air. I think we're going to be on until about 1.
Can we go today? We're done at 2.
2.
I mean, done at 4. Can we go today?
I mean, we'll have way more time tomorrow to go.
Will we have time tomorrow?
It'll be dark by the time we're done here.
You know, all I know is every single time you say there's some end of the day, you find a way to find more things to do. So I'm never really all that confident.
No, I want to be done by 4 today.
I wanted to.
We only had 9 guests on in the morning.
I wanted to highlight something that I get it, and I'm very thankful for Eno Saris for giving us the ability to call certain people in baseball the baseball nerds. And I'm very thankful that he granted us the right to be able to say it, right?
Well,
we asked him, is it okay? Because Eno Saris really is like the president of the baseball nerds.
I mean, we're nerds, but not on his level.
I'm not. You think you are?
I mean, I look at a lot
They
of
are so far more versed in data than you.
100%. That's what they do for a living.
I don't think you can even qualify for a baseball nerd. Like these guys?
I'm like lower level. Just like
you are a lower level baseball nerd.
I'll take it.
But anyway, they try and sell us this Ted Williams thing. And Mike Petriello, who we love having on the program, super smart guy, MLB.com, MLB Network, everything, baseball savant. What else does he do?
He does a StatCast broadcast on ESPN.
StatCast. I mean, he's great. We just had him on like 2 hours ago. And he and Eno both try and bring up Ted Williams. And I go, you can't bring up Ted Williams with Juan Soto. The comparison is not there. It's absolutely 100% ridiculous when you take out the walks. The slug is not there. And what did Eno try and say to us? He said, well, if you look at the average to this date, I go, how can you do that? Because as of this date, at this age, Ted Williams was fighting in war.
Correct.
And I didn't have my computer in front of me. If you saw the interview, I did not have my computer in front of me. I was just doing this off the top of my head, and Eno's looking at me like, huh, what? How can you compare? Ted Williams did not play when he was 24, 25, or 26 because military service.
Yeah.
Did Juan Soto get to play when he was 24, 25, 26?
Yes, he was on 2 different teams.
So let's go over this. The nerds who maybe don't know baseball history that much, they've said to this date that Juan Soto, his numbers equaled Ted Williams. Is that correct?
Yes.
But Ted Williams didn't play 3 of the years you're counting for Juan Soto. Once again, I'm not a data guy. I could just use facts. But if I'm looking at Juan Soto's stats, Juan Soto at the age of 23 played 162 games. How many games did Ted Williams play at the age of 23?
Going to say 0 because he's in war.
0 because he was military service. At the age of 25.
He was doing his civic duty.
Juan Soto played in 157 games. Ted Williams played in?
0.
So how could they claim that in all these years that Juan Soto is comparable to Ted Williams when Ted Williams didn't play 23, 24, 25? How can you claim that?
Here, what years were you doing age-wise?
24, 25, and 26.
No, I'm saying like they were talking about Soto to now, right? So Soto from age, 19?
Because you got to remember, Ted Williams stepped up in his first year and played 104. So Ted Williams at the age of 22, at the age of 20, played in 149 games and had 44 doubles, 31 home runs, and 145 RBIs. Okay? All better than Juan Soto. Well, even though Juan Soto at the age of 20 was pretty spectacular. But then the next year, the age of 21, Ted Williams followed that up with 113 RBIs, 23 home runs, 43 doubles. Ted Williams in his first 2 years had 87 doubles in his first 2 years. First 2 years for Juan Soto, he went 32-14. Now, that was COVID 2020. But if I just look at home runs, extra base hits, all of that, Juan Soto doesn't even come close to Ted Williams.
I did this on Baseball Reference, our Versus page. I did their first 7 seasons. This included, it took out Ted Williams being away for the military also. Okay. So his first 7 years, I'll include that. Ted Williams beats in literally every single category except for stolen bases.
Tell him the WAR difference.
Juan Soto is 36.4. Ted Williams is 62.5.
So how are these guys that get paid by MLB.com and The Athletic to be data, numbers, super fact, not fact, I guess they'd be analytics data guys. I want to put that back up. Can you put that on our screen?
Yeah, hold on. One thing at a time.
By the way, they're trying to throw this thing out about Roki Sasaki, this 23-year-old Japanese flamethrower. It does not matter right now because he cannot sign till after the first of the year. What's the actual date on that? Is it January 15th? Roki Sasaki?
I thought he had like a window he could sign now, then he couldn't get until January.
But can they negotiate now?
I think so. It's a small window, though, I believe.
But he can't sign till January. Are you able to get this up?
Yeah.
All right. Show the fans what I'm talking about.
I'm trying to make it. Hold on. I got to find the right one where it's the big screen.
These guys are trying to compare Juan Soto, to Ted Williams. Can you get us off the screen?
There you go.
All right. Can they see that? That seems pretty.
That's what the website. I'm pulling it directly from the website.
So this is not counting 3 years that Ted Williams didn't get of his prime. Well, I wouldn't even say it was his prime. But as a young man, and as players of that era, guys didn't play for the most part well into their 30s. Like my grandfather was losing it in his 30s. But here, Ted Williams dwarfs. Give me the numbers. Can I get that? So Ted Williams dwarfs him. I mean, he doubles the WAR almost. Look at the hits. Look at the home runs. Look at the RBIs.
I always look at the big thing that we talk about Soto, his on base. 488 for Ted Williams, 421 for Soto.
He beats him in on base, kills him in slug, kills him in OPS, kills him in OPS plus. where are they getting that his numbers are comparable to Ted Williams? Other than walks.
I would say the walks.
That's what this is what is crazy to me. And you know that I've been the one guy who's kind of poo-pooed the Juan Soto
Ted
love.
Williams had more walks too. 939 to 769 for
But
Soto.
they have been selling Ted Williams. Ted Williams, obviously, average home runs, RBIs, doubles, slug, on base. Ted Williams beats him in everything, but yet they try and compare. They try and say he's comparable. They've tried to say, well, Eno said if you put out the first few years, like, what are you talking about? Juan Soto doesn't sniff Ted Williams.
I agree with you. I never liked that comparison.
Petriello said something earlier about, well, if you look at at that age of walks or whatever, on base percent, like, here's the numbers in front of you. We're showing you right on the screen. First 7 years, it's not even close.
And this is, like I said, I preface it, but when we put up it, this doesn't include the years where Ted Williams gone. So it's age 20 to age 29 because he was in war for a few years.
Yeah, we're not even counting those years that he just missed.
So it's his first 7 years for both guys.
So if we added those numbers and gave Ted Williams even more numbers to his totals, yeah, Ted Williams could have sniffed 700 home runs. Juan Soto is not sniffing 700 home runs. No, I'm sorry.
I mean, he's only at 221 right now, and
now Juan Soto's at 201.
201, okay. Oh, no, because Ted Williams at 222 through his first 7 years.
So I'm like, and they're trying to say he's worth this money. I'm like, am I crazy? Tell me, I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong, but I can prove to you numbers-wise he's not close to Ted Williams. And I'm trying to figure out how you can prove to me that he's worth X amount of millions of dollars per win. I just, like, what are you talking about? It's crazy. I think the money that Juan Soto has been paid, I will leave this meeting saying this, I think it's absolutely crazy. Now, the money doesn't matter because you have an owner that is – it reminds me of when the Saudis or the oil money got into soccer, where now money didn't matter. These guys got when you have so many billions of dollars, these contracts, like to Steve Cohen, who's worth over $20 billion, this is like buying a piece of artwork for him, right? He's got that. The money is so crazy. Money for him, you know, this is not a big deal for him. So I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh my God, the money, because he can swallow the money. It's not that big of a deal. But when you look at this contract long term, yes, for the Mets, the symbol for the Mets winning the winter meetings, beating the New York Yankees, negotiating against the Yankees in their town, I get it. I get all of that. But years from now, we are going to look at this and we are going to go, just like we did Pujols, just like we did Cabrera, we're going to look at this and go, it's a dog contract. Because even though Mike Petriello was totally right about the contracts and the extension, I don't know what Cabrera was when he signed that extension with, I want to say he wasn't in his 30s yet. When he signed, he got traded from Miami to Detroit, then signed the extension with Detroit. How old was he when he signed that extension? I don't think he was in his 30s yet. Now, Pujols was like 32 when he did it.
When would he have signed that? Looks like he started making $20 million at age 27.
Yeah, it was like 20. So this is actually kind of comparable to Miguel Cabrera. If Miguel Cabrera signed the extension at 27 and he's signing this at 26, look how the Miguel Cabrera deal went. It was a disaster towards the end.
Yeah, he started in 2007 from the Marlins.
I'm glad I brought this up. I feel better now. Because I'm like, am I that off? Miguel Cabrera signed at 27 the extension. Michael Ilitch, they made the trade, and they said, Miguel Cabrera, Verlander, you're going to be the piece as a pitcher. Miguel Cabrera, you're going to be the piece as a position player. Michael Ilitch, It's are they Domino's Pizza? They're
Little
one of the
Caesars.
pizza. Little Caesars Pizza. Pizza Empire said we're going for it. And Miguel Cabrera was the big name, and they gave him the big money. And that contract was a disaster. It's going to be the same way. And at some point, if you're at Citi Field and you're hitting under 30 home runs and you got under 100 RBIs, but you walk a ton, are people really going to say that's worth $51 million?
No. I don't think.
I want everybody to remember these times. What's your idea? I don't have much time. I'm live.
For the expansion, Las Vegas 51s.
No.
You're at the A's, UFO Stadium, for the branding, it'd be great. Increase your fan base, grow it, scale it.
Problem what people don't realize about expansion, it cost over $2 billion just to get in. And that doesn't count building the ballpark. That doesn't count paying for anybody. And all the people that have said expansion, they don't realize, baseball realizes it's easier to get a team in there now versus expansion. I hate to break it to everybody. Expansion is really expensive. And by the way, when's expansion happening? We thought it was going to be soon. It's now getting pushed back. We thought Nashville was a guarantee. Not yet. Is it Salt Lake City? We don't know. So that's like the young man has stepped up and wanted to talk expansion. I can't talk anymore because I got to do the show, but I hear you. We've had a lot of those people float those ideas. You don't understand because, obviously a lot of that came from our fan base in the Bay Area where they wanted expansion, or there was even like certain players who said, Vegas should get expansion. You don't realize how hard and how expensive. I learned that first through the great Dave Stewart, who has had his issues and everything going on. We thought expansion would already be announced by now. It hasn't been. So when is expansion? Remember everybody talked a big game about expansion, but as I've said, it's super expensive. And people in Vegas actually understand that. The people in Las Vegas understood, listen, it's going to be easier to get a team from somewhere else than it is expansion. And it's going to be a lot faster. Now, people talked about expansion. We don't even know when expansion is going to be anymore. Tampa Bay is not settled until shovels go in the ground in Las Vegas. You can't, we believe Las Vegas it's going to happen. But once again, I'll play the shovels in the ground. So when is expansion? So if you were Vegas and you're like, let's sit around for expansion, it's well past 2030 now. How late you want to wait? And now and then what's it going to continue to cost? It's north of $2 billion you're going to have to buy in. Just to buy in. That's not even at the stadium yet. And we're talking about our stadium now is going to be 1.7. So now you're talking to get in for expansion. I don't know. Where are all these people in Vegas that want to sign up for almost a $4 billion adventure? Yeah. People just don't think about this kind of stuff. And I understand the people in the Bay Area who are upset. And they said, just give them expansion. Expansion right now could be close for anybody. But right now for Las Vegas, expansion could be north of $4 billion to make it happen, just getting in and doing a stadium.
Yeah, it's ever since the Nashville stuff, we haven't really heard anything what's going on. So
we were in Nashville. It seemed like it was great.
That was over a year ago now.
Dave Stewart's not even with the same group as before. We know Salt Lake City's real interested, but we're about to hit 2025 and expansion is nowhere near.
A quick update. Dave Roberts might have to do tomorrow now.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Anytime, Dave Roberts. The World Series. Remember, Dave Roberts came on this program in Oakland when the Dodgers were there, and we told him that, you know what, we're pulling for you. And he has to believe that the power of A's Cast had a little bit to do with the Dodgers winning the World Series this year. Am I off?
No.
All right, before that guy came up and threw expansion at me. What was I talking about?
I did just get us someone because our next guest will be till we played our Stephen Vogt interview. Our favorite beat writer in the AL West is coming over around 2:30.
Oh, from Seattle?
Scott Selbro, Ryan Divish.
Ryan Divish is – yeah. What are they going to do? When's he coming over?
About 10 minutes, I think. Yeah, 10 minutes. I told him 2:30.
All right. I just, at this point, oh, my God, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, 7 years in, Juan Soto's WAR is 36.4. 7 years in, Ted Williams was 60-something?
60, I have right here. 62.5.
How many doubles did Ted Williams have in his first 7 years?
He had 275.
Yeah, he has almost 100 more than Juan Soto.
How many triples did Juan Soto have? 15, right?
Juan Soto at 15.
Yeah, Ted Williams at 53. How many runs scored did Juan Soto have?
655.
That'd be for old Teddy ball game 932.
All right, the name of the game is scoring runs and knocking in runs, right? So what do you say? Juan Soto in 6 and 7 years has 655. Ted Williams has what?
932.
Yeah, everybody likes to tell me how much Juan Soto walks. What's amazing to me is how much he doesn't score.
Yeah, I mean, because he's not a good base runner. I know he's had more steals than Ted. It's the only thing he beats Ted Williams. He has more steals.
Ted Williams had way more triples. But here's the thing. Slow guys don't score. And the certain people try and make the excuse and they put it around, well, it's not Juan Soto's fault what lineup he's in. Well, Juan Soto's played on a lot of different teams. Juan Soto scored 128 runs last year because he was in the Yankees lineup with Aaron Judge. Well, you're not going to be in a lineup with Aaron Judge anymore. How many runs are you going to want from the walking machine? How about this? He walked more last year in San Diego than he did in New York this year, but he had Aaron Judge. Well, you're not going to have Aaron Judge. For a guy that walks, a guy that's led the league in walks 3 times, they talk about he's a historic on-base percentage guy. You know, he's only scored 100 runs 3 times.
I'm not surprised. What's his most run score? Was it last year?
Last year.
Yeah.
But now you're not going to have Aaron Judge.
Oh yeah, Judge had like 100. How many RBIs did he fill? Like 129 or something. And you know how many of those were one?
So so the point I was making before the guys, once again, when you're at the winter meetings, people can walk right up and talk to you.
I was way off. Judge had 144 RBIs.
Okay. So he's not going to have Judge behind him next year. Do you think he scores 100 runs next year? Do you think he drives in 100 runs? This first year of this 15-year record contract, what if the numbers aren't even? What if he doesn't score 100 or drive in 100?
Is it panic time in New York?
As we look at Karate Kid Ray.
As we look at Ray. Panic time in New York if Soto doesn't drive in 100 or score 100 runs first year? He's already bracing for it to be a bad year.
He's a Jets fan, so he's already miserable. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, we could be here next year going, well, year 1, 28 home runs, 86 RBIs, 94 runs scored. Mets don't make the playoffs, and yet you paid him $51 million. You told me how great this contract was.
Be total New York Mets Jets fan thing to happen. They thought they were getting the greatest quarterback of their generation behind Aaron Rodgers or behind Tom Brady to play, and I could see because like I looked at the Mets. You look at the Mets.
By the
lineup.
way, what was Ted Williams' batting average for 7 years? 340 something probably.
354.
354. Juan Soto's 288. The slug. I mean there's not anything Juan. You know what? Ted Williams is worth the contract he got.
I don't know what his contract was, but
Ted Williams' numbers are worth the con. This guy's numbers aren't.
Well, I wonder what his contract would be if he played in today's game. It would be a lot. I don't know the exact number.
Does that make sense? You know what? I'm unleashed right now. Townie unleashed. Because I've had to sit here and swallow it, and all these people are like, oh my God, Juan Soto. You know what? I'm not the biggest Juan Soto guy. And I'm not going to be I'm not I'm not going to be a big Juan Soto guy. I'm just not.
Well, you look at their lineup.
He's a Hall of Famer. Like, yeah, he may be a Hall of Famer, but he's not dynamic. He walks a lot. He's got some pop. But where is he super dynamic? You want dynamic? Give me Ricky Henderson's numbers. Ricky Henderson touched home plate more than any human being that's ever lived. You want dynamic numbers? Give me Barry Bonds. Give me Ricky Henderson.
Which Barry?
Either Barry. Pre-Roy Barry was a 3-time MVP.
Yeah, before he was Super Barry. He's
right?
Normal Barry.
I mean, if you want to give me dynamic, go give me Mike Schmidt. Mike Schmidt led the National League in home runs 8 times and was like the best defensive third baseman. I guess there's a documentary coming out on him.
Yeah, I kept seeing the vignettes for it. I saw their I
mean, we're talking about the A's. We need a third baseman. Mike Schmidt led his league 8 times in home runs. You think about that.
I was just talking to Martin Gallegos. Said, "What moves are we making?" And he goes, "I can see a third baseman." He threw some names out there.
Dude, this guy's walking out. Johnny Gomes is walking out with free swag. Free swag, unbelievable. I mean, really, the life that this guy. I wish we could turn the cat. So there was some meeting going on right next to us. The great Johnny Gomes, one of the great A's, has just walked out, looked over at us with a big smile, and he's got a full bag of swag.
I didn't actually read the sign to see what it was in there, what the meeting was.
I have no idea, but he's walking out with free stuff.
My wife got a free bottle opener yesterday from here. I don't know, it was somewhere down the hallway.
It's like Stephen Vogt. It's like no matter what happens to Stephen Vogt, it's always something good.
It's always magical.
Yeah, like Stephen Vogt should go on like Price is Right, and he's going to win everything. And you win a new car.
He wins the Showcase Showdown. He wins both
because he wins the vacation, the car,
the boat.
That's the thing about these guys, man.
Stephen Vogt goes on Family Feud and plays Fast Money by himself and wins.
Oh my God, these guys live like Johnny Gomes. These guys live an unbelievable life. All right, what do we got going? I just had to get that off.
Ryan Divish from the Seattle Times is supposed to be coming over soon.
Free stuff. Oh, God. Johnny Gomes living the absolute dream. One thing that I want to get into, that's why I don't know. What do we got? How much time do I have?
Well, I don't see Ryan walking over yet. But Dan Wilson spoke with Mark Kotze, so we can get into what the Mariners are going to do.
Who did?
Dan Wilson was talking like the same time Kotze was earlier.
And what did he say?
I don't know. I just know they were talking. Martin Gallegos, they were talking like at this side by side up at the.
So Ryan Divish is coming over right now.
He's supposed to be coming over by 2:30. I told him where we were.
A conversation that I had yesterday off air, probably the one that means the most when we start talking about what the next thing is, because that's what we need to find out here on this program. Is you ask the people who are smarter than we are what the next thing, because it's no longer about data, because everybody's got data. And it's not about how you use your data, because everybody's got data. Everybody's got the smart baseball nerds. The big question is, what is the new frontier? What is next? What is, and Mike Petriello thought it's dealing with health, keeping guys healthy. Well, that's in all sports. But what is the next thing to make players better? And I don't think people know. But there was one conversation, and Bobby Evans really started for me, now once again a Giants executive, is you can give people the answers, but they've got to believe in what they're doing. People who are going to be successful as athletes, they have to believe in what they're doing to be successful. They've got to have conviction. And that's the thing that we don't have. We don't have the analytic for that. For example, I can tell you as a pitcher what you need to do. I can say, against this guy, this hitter, this count, you need to throw X. But unless you have conviction in that pitch, unless you believe as the guy throwing it, you're in trouble, right? Like in golf, you could say, I know I need to hit this shot, but unless I have the conviction and I believe in it, I'm not going to hit it. Humans have to believe. You have to believe that you can do it. And so much has been, we've made players do stuff. We've given them the answers because the best athletes figure it out on their own and they know what to do. That is the next wave, is how do you get conviction in these guys? And so not only they know how to do it, but they believe in it because you have to believe in it.
We want to know what Dan Wilson had to say.
Before we do that, I'm going to ask my man here. I was just getting into it, and when I started to Bobby Evans, who's a 3-time World Series champion with the Giants, is now back with them. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about, and kind of one thing that I've been asking a lot of people is, now that everybody has data, everybody's got the baseball nerds, everybody's got the data, that's not like something that is different amongst the 30 teams.
No.
So what's the next thing that's going to be, because Moneyball started this whole thing. Yeah. So what is the next Moneyball thing? What is the next thing that will make a organization different from everybody else?
Putting a sports writer in charge of like vice president of common sense, like me, and for the Mariners. Like, hey, common sense says maybe you should spend a little bit more money because the perception is you're really cheap, or, don't fire your Japanese American manager on Asian American Heritage Night. That was probably not a great one. That was one of my favorite ones.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Don Wakamatsu, he was fired on Asian
Bay Area Zone.
Yeah, he was fired on Asian American Heritage Night.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. The day you bring in your first round pick to meet the media, don't trade Kendall Graveman to your mortal enemies across the way just the night after you almost got in a fight with them. That was also the day they announced the first female president of business operations that day too. You want to know what got written about that day? Kendall Graveman getting traded and the players reacting. So no, I in all seriousness, in talking with people around baseball, the next market inefficiency or the next thing that they're looking at is people like body mechanics, kinesiology, all this stuff about how to keep guys healthy. They already have some of that, but they have all these people now that try and study efficiency of movement, of athleticism, how athletes move, how do they move properly to keep them healthy, especially with pitchers, which is an unnatural act throwing a baseball. How do they find ways to do it properly? What do you know, how often you should throw, all these different things to keep pitchers healthy. The Mariners think they have a great plan in place. You look at their 5 starters. They all made over 25 starts this season. They only used 7 starting pitchers, the fewest in all of Major League Baseball, while throwing the most innings. So maybe they're doing something right, or maybe they just got lucky. But I think that's the next bridge. You see Driveline with the movement, the movement capsules or whatever that they put on guys. You got those dots all over their body, and they're doing all that, checking their motion sensors and all that stuff. I think that is the next wave. If some team can figure out ways to maximize efficiency for movement, like whether it's pitching mechanics or the swing, and also keeping guys healthy, that will be the next wave. And then all these guys that were really smart in school that went to anatomy class and all the other stuff that I failed, then they'll be the hot thing. I don't know where they come from, because it was always before. And we joke about this with Jerry DiPoto. He wanted to be more like the Harvard guys all the time, and the Ivy League guys, the nerds, being a former player. And that the players couldn't understand why he wasn't more like a player when he was trying to be more like the analyst guys.
So funny. Ryan Divish from the Seattle Times, if you don't know, the author of one of the greatest calls in the history of A's Cast, Scottsdale Bro, is with us here on A's Cast Live once again. That kind of all started with Billy Beane.
Yep.
Billy Beane wanted to go to Stanford, thought he could go to Stanford and play football. I don't know if it's ever official that Billy was actually able to get into Stanford, but he's taken in the first round by the Mets, signed with the Mets. And so that was always the thing when we were looking at the early days of Moneyball, is that Billy was always fascinated with guys that had great education. And Jerry DiPoto is like that next coming around with this is like, yeah, these baseball guys, Jerry DiPoto was a player, Billy Beane was a player. It's always that I fancy what you have, you fancy what I have.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that it's really changed the sport. It dramatically changed the sport. It's the question. Every sport is looking to see how we keep our guy, how to keep our investments healthy.
Yeah, well, if you invest $750 million in a player, you want to make sure he's out there maximum amount of times, and that's getting guys on the field, having them perform. That's the what is it? The best ability is availability.
Correct.
And I think that's where we're at now. Teams are spending so much money and investing so much money in contracts. They need to invest a requisite amount of money in development, health, all these other things. And I think that's where you're seeing a lot of teams go.
Why do you think the Mariners have struggled so much with common sense? Because I even remember when we had you on talking about, remember Griffey in the was caught napping in the chair towards the end, and a guy reported it, and they tried to have him fired. There's been a lot of just things like that out of Seattle.
Yeah.
Why?
It's hard to say. I think from that stretch there, especially like from about 95 to about 2002, they owned the city. They were the big thing in the town. The Seahawks hadn't been very good. University of Washington football is good, but it's still kind of a niche compared to the Mariners. And I think that they felt like, we're this pillar in the community. And so I wouldn't say they felt like they were above reproach, but they didn't feel like what they did was wrong. Like they always knew better that, hey, we're the Mariners and what we're doing, and you should want to be on board because we're the Mariners. And I think when you lose the way they've lost, you go 21 straight years without the postseason and make some missteps along the way, the common sense missteps, the PR, the perception missteps, you lose that cachet. And now with a fan base, that's changed demographically, and younger people who have the attention span of a gnat, they don't have time for it. They don't remember when you were good. They don't remember any of that. They want results now. And I think that's been the biggest thing, is like their place in the landscape of sports in Seattle is diminished. And a lot of the goodwill that they build up for doing the right thing, and when they do have success, they lose it quickly because they don't invest. It's like they make the playoffs. Cal Raleigh hits the homer against the A's. They clinch, and it was great.
Magical.
Then they go and they knock off the Blue Jays, then they get beat by the Astros, but everybody thought, okay, this is going to be good. They're going to be good. And what do? They don't invest anymore. They don't spend anymore. They don't really increase their payroll. They don't supplement the roster. And then the next 2 years, they miss the playoffs by a game or two. And it's like, well, all that goodwill you built up is gone because you were too cheap to go out and spend. And it's not because they don't have the finances. It's more of a philosophy. They have multiple owners that are all billionaires. And it's tough for the average fan to sit there and say, we don't want to hear that you don't want to spend when we're spending $50 for a ticket and $15 or $17 for a beer. Like, that's the problem. Like, I sometimes think Mariners ownership's idea of who they are within the city and within the fan base isn't reflective of what it really is. And I don't use Twitter because that's just like a hellscape, but it is true. Like, when I'm getting, when things are going bad is when Mabel from Yakima, Washington gets on her AOL account and fires me off an angry email because she can't watch the game. She doesn't like the players. She doesn't like the losing and all this other stuff. That's when is when you get season ticket holders say, look, I'm done with this team. A lot of times it's conjecture and the winning will bring them back. But if you do it often enough, some people just don't come back. And I think that's been their biggest problem. They don't get it at times. It isn't as complicated, I think, as they make it seem, but it isn't as simple as they want it to be. And that's a problem. And I just think and I think part of it is ownership doesn't listen to the daily people, whether it's the PR staff or the people working the daily stuff who have to live what the fans do. I don't think they take the input from what those people provide very seriously because they think they know best. Because, I mean, they're owners, they make lots of money, and they think they know everything, but they really don't. And sometimes the arrogance or the stupidity of not listening or not understanding what you don't know will come back and bite you. And I think that's been a problem for them.
Would you sign a 3-year deal to be my guy of common sense? Like, what would it take to get you off the beat?
Oh, I'm sure they would love to find a way to get me off the beat anyways.
By the way, Maple, give her our information.
Yeah,
we'll take her on as our – we'll bring her to A's Cast.
And then, like, I've lost the ability to be a fan. You give that up when you're – and I was never a Mariners fan growing up in Montana. I like the Twins because Kirby Puckett, whatever. But, like, in as much as fans irritate me and scream at me for the Mariners or whatever, and I don't get some of the reaction – I do, as an overall sense, feel like there is a letdown between kind of the civic pact that you have of being an owner and owning a team and having a fan base that you're trying to get to go to games and what you put on the field. And again, like, the Mariners aren't the Rays. They have plenty of people going to their games. They were over. They had, I think, they didn't go over last year, but they were right at last year in terms of the number of fans. And they had a pretty strong regional sports network, and they have a good following. And I think at some point you have to invest and win. Being almost good enough and moral victories don't count anymore. And I just think that's the biggest problem right now is they have this pitching staff that is so good, a starting rotation that is so good, and they have young players. They have a catcher. The American League West has probably the 2 best catchers in baseball, Shea Langoliers and Cal Raleigh. I think they're 2 of the best because they actually catch. They don't DH every other day. They catch, and they can play. And so, like, you have a catcher, you have a center fielder who's a star, you have, quality rotation. Just get uncomfortable and spend a little bit more, invest a little bit more of your ownership money back into the team to put out a winning product and reestablish some of your credibility. And they just will not do that. At some point, I look at I used to say the same thing about newspapers, but I think a professional franchise should be a break-even business. It isn't about how much money you make. It is about how much championships you win, how much success you have on the field. That's where the true success is. And I mean, like, if you only, let's say you get to the ALCS and all that you invested in player payroll and everything else, and you don't net as much profit or as much revenues as expected, it's still a win because you got to the ALCS, whereas you've never been there before or whatever. I mean, this team's never been to the World Series. Like, how do you justify that? How do you justify? To me, is like, nobody's asking them to be Steve Cohen and spending that kind of money, but be something better than you've been, because that's the problem. And what happens, like, when in 2 years, when Kirby and Gilbert and these guys are so expensive and they know they're not going to re-sign them, then what happens then? They're going to have to tear it all down again. It's a tough situation to be in because they're not like the A's that had, like, ballpark issues where you didn't know what the future was going to be. They have T-Mobile Park, great park. They're stuck in there. They're locked in there. They have all this stuff set. All they have to do is just a little bit more, spend a little bit more, invest a little bit more. It's like, I mean, like, if you're going out on a date and you're like, hey, I really like this girl, whatever, she's out of my class, maybe spend the money to get a haircut, get some new clothes, do something more than you've done. They don't do that. They operate on the margins. They operate like they're the Rays, and they're not. And that's, I think, what's most frustrating for fans. I've been covering the team since 2007. God, that's a long time. My liver has just taken a beating over those years. But, like, it's it's a lot of the same, and they've had different ownership groups and everything else come through. But at the end of the day, like, you're measured by your success on the field. They haven't been that successful. You know, you can beat up other organizations as much as you want, but the Mariners have never played in the World Series. They've been in one postseason since 2001. That's pretty tough to swallow.
Yeah, it's when I got married. I mean, you think about that. That's a long time, and coming down here and people talking about, maybe the Mariners need to trade one of their pitchers. It's like, no. Why would you trade the one thing that you have that no one else has? You should add offense to help this great pitching, because this is something that doesn't come around all the time. There's 29 other teams that would love to have your pitching.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, if they were to trade a pitcher to get a hitter, is the hitter good enough to offset your losses in pitching or make an offense that significantly better? I mean, like, you're giving up to get, whereas, like, you're not giving up cash to get or prospects. You're giving up a major league player, and that's what it's been difficult for them. They have all these great prospects in their farm system, one of the better farm systems. But if you look at it, how many teams are competing now? Like, more teams want MLB talent. There's not that many teams that are like true rebuilds, like Miami, probably. I think Miami,
St. Louis talking to the Kale mix.
Yeah,
it sounds like
they're kind of going that way.
They don't want to call it a rebuild, a retool,
soft reset.
It's a
soft reset. Well,
remodel.
Jerry DiPoto, when the Mariners did theirs, they called it a step back, and then he called it reimagining the roster, and that's where I first got in trouble, is because when he said reimagine, and I went out and I took the lyrics from John Legend's Imagine, and I rewrote it for the Mariners and posted on Twitter, like, imagine there's no payroll trying to build this team, they didn't find that funny. I mean,
they didn't think that was funny.
I don't know, but so, like, that's where they're at. They would honestly, if it came down to it, I think they're listening to offers on Luis Castillo because he's making enough money. Although Luis Severino makes the same amount of money as Luis Castillo.
By the way, what were your thoughts on that?
I was like, my Twitter is going to be hell, because everybody's like, oh, look at the A's. They've done something. All the Mariners haven't done anything, but the A's have done something. And it's like, that's almost as bad as some of my Twitter takes on what the A's should take for Brent Rooker. Apparently, like, they think that the A's should trade Brent Rooker for 3 no-name prospects. So that's where they're at. I think they would trade Luis Castillo if they were given a lot, and it would have to have major league talent coming back. The thing is like, they're not in a rush to trade him, and his value will only increase, because if you think about it this way, Matt Boyd just got $30 million for 2 years. And I like Matt Boyd, nice guy, Seattle guy. He's barely pitched. He got 12 or 13 million a year for, that's all of a sudden Luis Castillo making 22.75, pretty affordable for a guy that's really good.
Frankie Montas got 2 years, 34 million.
Yeah. I mean, that's when you know where the market is. So the Mariners can say, okay, well, we're going to wait because we're pretty happy with what we have, and we'll try and add some other stuff. And then when Roki Sasaki signs with whoever he signs with, the teams that are waiting and that needed him might come back to the Mariners and say, okay, we'll give you more. Like, you're in a great position where you don't feel like you need to trade somebody to get better. The Mariners feel like they can do it on the peripheries, sign a guy, maybe make a trade for prospects to get a guy to fill out some of their lineup, and then go at the deadline as well. So like they just think like, and I think they really believe like what they can get right now in a trade isn't valuable enough to give up one of those guys. So that's kind of where they're at. But would it surprise me if Luis Castillo is eventually traded this offseason? No, not a bit.
Well, what it makes me think for the A's, with all the A's fans listening, is Texas still has issues with their television. They're not looking to add. Obviously, I respect Houston, how they go about, we've got a price. You want to go over? We got a price for every guy, price point. Yeah. And if you go over that, we'll shake hands, say thanks for everything. And it looks like Kyle Tucker may be that. Framber Valdez may be that. Angels are signing people, but the Angels are just so dysfunctional. Here the A's out of nowhere finished 32-32 in their last 64. The young kids are growing up, going to be adding. You add Louis. all of a sudden the A's kind of have a shot here going into 2025.
Yeah, Lawrence Butler is really, really good.
Right?
Brent Rooker is really good.
JJ Bleday.
Yeah, Bleday, like every count is like 7 pitches. Like Langoliers is good. He's kind of like I say, he's like Cal Raleigh. He comes up with big homers.
Could be in the All-Star game this year, Shea Langoliers.
Yeah, so it's like, they have a pretty good core. If they add, and the way I'll say this about Kotz, his players get better when he brings them up, and if they don't, they go back down. They come back better players, and then he get better up there. That's one thing. Like look at where Butler was before and what he is now. He's it was ugly the first year at times. He looked overwhelmed. Now he's like one of the most dangerous guys. So I still want the Mariners to trade for Brent Rooker just because he seems like a really good dude. I follow him on Twitter and I like his music taste. So I'm like, they should just trade for him. I don't care.
Not happening.
No, I think the A's are in a pretty good spot. I mean, like they play hard. They've done this before. They find some young relievers that throw really hard in the back end of the bullpen, and they'll be okay. They get better, and that's the thing. The Mariners saw what happened last year. If you don't play well, you're not going to win. You can't be flawed as much as they were offensively and expect to win, and that's what happened to them. I mean, the A's were significantly better than the Mariners in the last 3 months of the season, and you're right about the rest of the league. The one thing is the Astros just find a way. I mean, remember last year they started off so horribly and everybody like, they're done. They're finally done. And then they just went on a heater because, their first 3 or 4 guys are really good and their first couple of pitchers are really good. And, we'll see what happens with Tucker if they trade him or not. But, yeah, I don't know that the West is good, but I think it's probably more even than it's been.
I mean, we hate them. But I have respect for what the Astros, this is our business model. Mm-hmm. And when they last won the World Series and the confetti was coming down and Jim Crane got asked about bringing players back, and he cold-heartedly said, we've got a 5-year plan to replace everybody.
Yeah.
But that's business.
Yeah.
And they understand what they do, and they're successful doing it. I respect that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, I think you hope for the best scenario when it comes to players, but you have to plan for the worst when it comes to retaining them. Like I think the Mariners would love to sign Cal Raleigh and Logan Gilbert 2 extensions. I think the reality is that probably isn't going to happen. George Kirby, and how much can you really extend all these guys? I mean, these guys are all going to make big money. Like if you're Logan Gilbert, you're going to make $9 million this year in your second year of ARB. You got 2 years of ARB left. You're thinking, look at what these pitchers are getting right now. Look what Blake Snell got. You're telling me Logan Gilbert,
he'll be over $200 million.
Yeah. And so it's like, why wouldn't you wait? Because you're going to make decent enough money in arbitration because you perform well enough. Like Cal Raleigh, $5 million. He'll make $5 million this year probably in arbitration in his first year. Probably if he has another year, $10 million. Then you're 1 year away from free agency. Do you just wait it out or do you go? I mean, how many good catchers are out there right now that have those kinds of numbers?
As you said, a real catcher with real power.
Yeah. And I think that's where, the Mariners, I think they know in the back of their minds it's probably not going to be able to keep this group together forever. They've already committed a lot of dollars to Julio. So it's like, okay, probably should. But that's my thinking is if you're not going to be able to keep the group together 3 years from now, why not focus on these next 2 years and do as much as you can to win? So when it does break up, you have at least some semblance of success in your pocket versus, just kind of piecing it together and hoping that everybody has a great year for some miracle run. And then you can bank on that. That seems, that's like me going to Vegas and just putting all my meager paycheck on black or red and hoping it hits, there's better ways. You can increase your odds for success by investing in quality players.
No doubt. You could go out, go for it now, make those moves. If it doesn't work, then move everybody for prospects. Yeah. Then move everybody for the retool, reshape, reimagine.
Yeah.
At least go for it now because you can always trade your way out of that.
Yeah, exactly. I just think there's I just think that there's an opportunity being wasted here for them. And I think it's more difficult to get back to success even when you reset or rebuild. Look at the A's. For a while there, you didn't know if Langoliers was going to be what he was because he was kind of slow to get going, like all catchers. But like all those moves they made for Olsen, Chapman, all those guys that got rid of Murphy, it didn't look great. Now it's starting to look better, and some of the guys came along, but it doesn't happen like, you know, you go, like the Cardinals say, oh yeah, in a couple of years, soft reset.
Yeah.
What if Jordan Walker and all these guys suck?
Yeah.
What if they're bad? You know, what if guys get hurt? So it's like the timeline, you can put a timeline on to success, but you're relying on players, and their timelines aren't always the same.
All right, you've been we'll let you go on this. You've been walking around, you've been doing the thing. Is there what are you hearing? What interest outside of Mariners? What's interest you as you're feeling the room a little bit?
I mean, like, I guess to me, like, the whole Sasaki thing is pretty interesting because it is a semi-even playing field. You know, it's not a bidding contest. It's how do we make you better contest, or how do we present it to you contest.
It's a Shohei Ohtani, basically.
Yeah.
He's coming over before 25.
Yeah, I think that's been really interesting. And then, like, the repercussions of that, like what's going to happen. I also think it's crazy. Like you remember it wasn't that long ago when the Red Sox were one of the biggest free agent players in the market. You know, like they would sign guys and get guys. They're struggling to get guys. I mean, they haven't, you know, they finished second on a lot of these things. They bid up, they go in on Soto, they go in on all these guys. So they didn't get Soto. So all of a sudden, like Alex Bregman's life looks really good right now because the Yankees and Red Sox didn't get Soto. Teoscar Hernandez, and it'll be interesting to see where they all go. And I think that's my thing now is like, now that Soto's done and now that Sasaki's posted, where do teams go? And I think you're going to see in the next 2 weeks or so where Bregman and Teoscar and some of those hitters start to move. And also, I think a lot of people saw what happened last year with the lateness and guys going late and struggling. Nobody wants that. They want to get it done. They want to know where they're going and they want to get there.
They want it all done. Teams and the players teams want to sell it for Christmas and getting spring training, and players want a deal before Christmas. Yeah. They want it done.
Yeah, they would like to. I mean, the Sasaki thing, because he probably won't sign until after January 5th, you know, kind of delays it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that will be chaos afterwards. But I think for the hit, that won't affect the hitting market. I think we'll see a lot of the hitters move here in the next couple of weeks.
You hit on something real quick. The Red Sox brand. Like when you think Big Papi, Pedro, all of that, you know, Dave Roberts is going to come on tomorrow. You just walk by. The biggest stolen base, like all that. It's like, that seems so long ago.
Yeah.
Like their brand, like it's all of a sudden Heim Bloom, who I can't believe St. Louis is going to go with the Heim Bloom after this year. But Heim Bloom just turned them into basically like the cheap Rays.
Yeah.
That's like it's New England. They're not representing Boston. They represent New England. They were a big player, big market, big spending, win championships. Their brand has been tarnished.
Yeah, it seems to have. You know, either fans don't seem to think it, but like if you think about it, what have they done really? You know, and then they almost kind of got bullied into the Rafael Devers contract, the extension. He's a great player.
Because Mookie Betts leaving.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a very different spot, and they have some young prospects that are pretty good. Marcelo Meyer will be up this year and he'll be good, but it's not like they used to be where they had dudes, you know, they went out and got guys.
They were the Red Sox,
yeah,
Evil Empire versus the Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean,
it
like
was
arms race,
yeah,
you know? And now it's not there. But then again, like the Yankees used to get everybody they wanted. That doesn't happen either. I think the Dodgers get everybody that they want. For the most part. I mean, like, look at the Michael Conforto signing. He's a nice player. He's
for
a local
1
guy.
year, yeah,
17 million to be like kind of a platoon outfielder. Yeah. You know, I mean, because you don't really play against lefties, you know, but in that lineup, he doesn't have to do a lot either. That's a luxury expense of winning the World Series and having all these guys defer their money to like 30-10. You know, it's like, I'll be dead and gone before Shohei Ohtani's contract is paid off. Then again, my parents never thought I'd make it to 40. So it's like, you know.
I mean, I said this when it happened. I said, you know, some of those Guggenheim guys that are guaranteeing this money long term, they will not be here.
Well, that'll be their kids' debt too.
They will not. Like they're like, okay, we'll sign it because you look at their age, they'll be either dead or they're retired from what they're doing completely. So they're not going to care.
I wonder if the next CBA they don't address some of the deferred money and people manipulating.
It's over $1 billion in debt, basically.
Yeah.
By the way, you're fabulous. We love having you on. Yeah. And no one would have ever thought. You talk about how all these things start to change. A's have one of the biggest free agency signings.
I know. It's crazy. I think, you know, I just want you to start the movement to only have the winter meetings in San Diego.
Remember how nice that was every year?
Yeah, and then
It was easy for us West Coast guys.
Well, it just, you can go to the gas lamp, walk around. Now I got it. You spend like $35 on a pizza that's terrible. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere, and it's really strange that the hotel I'm in is next to a Denny's and a Motel 6. I mean, it's a courtyard too. It's not like it's a Marriott.
But you're right. In San Diego, we walked right out of the Manchester Hyatt, and it's all the restaurants, all the bars, everything you need.
Yeah.
All right, my friend, be well. Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
we will Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll see you in Arizona.
Sounds good.
All right, we got more coming up next right here on A's Cast Live.
If you're a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep. With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away from the bustle of Silicon Valley. Go to cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
Looking to stay up to date on all things A's? Head over to athletics.com/A'scast. That's athletics.com/A'scast to listen to A's baseball in full 24/7 coverage of the A's, only on A's Cast. With a single click, you can stream great shows, live pre- and post-game coverage, and of course, all the great action of the A's this season. Head to athletics.com/A'scast today.
Streaming from the winter meetings, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All right, we have a very, very busy hour. Stephen Vogt's coming up right now. Then we have what?
Well, Jesse Rogers from ESPN.
Jesse Rogers, what's going on in Chicago?
And baseball overall.
Yep.
Nick Krall, the president of baseball ops for the Reds, who used to work for the A's.
Yep.
And then Derek Shelton, our good friend, the manager of the Pirates.
Shelty. All righty. It's been a dream ride the last 3 years. Retirement, last at-bat home run. So special for him and his family. We love Stephen Vogt. Then immediately gets a job working in Seattle, and he's working in the bullpen. And then after that, 1 year in Seattle, then he's the manager of the Guardians, gets the team to the playoffs, American League Manager of the Year. What a ride for one of the great guys in our game. Here's my conversation with former two-time All-Star with the A's, Stephen Vogt. What are you doing?
I'm doing great.
We were thinking about you earlier, and we're like, you think about your last at-bat, you think about this year. I mean, you're the kind of guy, two-time All-Star, you're the kind of guy that goes on the game show and wins everything. You're just that kind of lucky guy.
Yeah, I definitely feel very fortunate and blessed, and it's been quite a ride the last few years, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. I'm thankful, I'm grateful. I don't take any of it for granted, that's for sure.
It's to watch you go as a player and not spend a whole lot of time in Seattle to then jump in the hot seat as a manager. You've had a little time since the playoffs to decompress, but has it just kind of been just a wow whirlwind? Like, it's happened all so fast.
Yeah, you have time to reflect, but you find your reflections are more of just gratitude and thankful, and you look back and how much fun this job is, whether you're playing, whether you're broadcasting, whether you're coaching, managing it. We get to watch baseball every night. And that's really what it is at the end of the day. And yes, you're managing games and you're managing people, and it's not always fun. But it's still baseball. We get to do what we love. And I'm so thankful. And that's really what my main reflections are.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, because your journey has been very special. Is there something that you could tell us, like, I had no idea it was going to be like this as a manager? You probably had your ideas going in, but is there something that I had no clue it was going to be like this?
I think just how full every day was going to be. I think you have to do certain things. You have to do this, and that. But then at the end of the day, you don't realize you have no time for yourself. And you shouldn't, because that's what the job is. But just the busyness and high speed of every day, you hit your pillow at night and you're just exhausted. And then you get up and do it all over again. And you have to bring energy for your guys. You have to bring energy for your group. And, I was fortunate. I worked for some amazing people in Cleveland. I worked with some amazing people in Cleveland, and we never lost energy. We kept it going, and our guys were just so much fun to watch, and that's what really helped us get through it.
Watching you win the Manager of the Year in the American League, and to see your kids, they were so young when you were a player. How great is it now that they can do this journey with you, and they're going to remember it?
Yeah, it's been so much fun. Our family's been super blessed, and you all know Alyssa, and she's a rock star, and she's willing to travel with the kids everywhere. And lugging 3 kids through the airport is not easy, and she does it with a smile on her face so that we can be together as a family. And the kids are Guardians fans. They wear A's jerseys to school. They've got so many different jerseys that they wear to school. And but just to have our family be accepted by the community in Cleveland, and they just show us so much love, and our kids are huge Guardians fans now, and getting to experience this together as a family is something truly remarkable.
The playoff run, just the through the season, the journey, and then to the playoffs. You've done it as a player. I mean, we're all going to remember you had one of the biggest hits for the A's, winning a postseason game, how huge that is. What's it like being in the playoffs when you're not playing? You don't have the control.
Yeah. You definitely feel the moment more, because you don't have control. You can't go out there and do it. And, but that's where trusting your guys and knowing your players, I think that's really what it is. You have 162 games in spring training to get to know your players and who they are, what they're capable of. And then you just try to put them into positions to succeed. And, it doesn't always work. And that's what's beautiful about baseball. There's nothing that's in stone. There's nothing that is a for sure thing. And that's why I love this game. And so watching our guys play and getting to watch playoff baseball from the managerial seat was a truly, truly fun experience, and one I hope I get to do every year from here on out.
Earlier today, Torey Lovello told us, and he was talking about, we always talk about your guys' time as A's. He was talking about his time with Art Howe back in the day. And, he said it's very important for the manager to for his players to know not only you got your back, that you really care about them as people. And I know you are that guy, but in your first year, just how important was it to build those relationships with the players in your first year?
It's way more important than any other decision. This is a people business. Yes, it's baseball, and yes, we have data. We have all to help us make decisions. But at the end of the day, people have to go get it done. And the relationships that I love our players, man, I love them. It felt like we had 26 kids, and you just want them to succeed so badly every night. And that's where you pour the love into them. That's where you cry with them. You laugh with them. You feel the moment for them. And I just, those relationships that you get to form with your players, and that's what Bob did so well, in my time with him, with the A's and Kotz too. You just form these bonds that are so strong, and that they care about you. And that's what I tried to be for our players.
Does it help you that you played against a lot of these guys, so you know them? You know their strengths and their weaknesses. You scouted them.
Yeah, I think that helped a little bit, but also, half the roster I didn't know. And so you want to give them a blank slate. And I think that was something that I really appreciated about Cleveland, is they allowed me to just kind of go into it blind and let me watch our players and give my opinions and not hear the old opinions. Or, I wanted players to have a fresh start, and a lot of them got that. And getting to know them and watch them play. And it helped because I did have familiarity with a lot of the players, and it just helped me get to know them quicker.
One thing I thought about you in the playoffs is I know you're such a cerebral player and how much you studied as a player. And then now you probably have more data than you've ever had before, right? So it's like at some point I know you trust yourself, but you have is there ever a time where there's a struggle of your gut versus the data in front of you?
Every day.
Is it every day?
Every day.
Because you trust you.
And your players tell you what to do. The players will always have the answer because they're the ones that do it. And the numbers are there for you to place bets. That's what you're doing. You're playing the odds. But at the end of the day, when you know the players and you know what they're capable of, that's going to help you know what to do. And there were a number of times where I'd sit there arguing with Craig Albernaz. Do we go with, here's why I don't want to use the numbers, or here's why we should use the numbers? And we go back, we had this really healthy dialogue every game, and a lot of it ahead of time too. But at the end of the day, I always say 90% of the time, the data and the player, the gut are the same. It's that 10% where you have to trust your gut or you have to just go with the data. And that's where you have to have that feel. And now with 1 year under my belt, I got better at that. I need to continue to get better. And every time you make a decision that doesn't work, you have to learn as much as you can of why. And maybe it's just baseball. Maybe it's, oh, we could have done this stuff differently. Well, we can't go back and change it. So let's learn for next time and let's make a better decision or make a different decision. But at the end of the day, let the players play and just do your job.
All right. We're going to end on this. 3 years ago, you're on this show, tears down your face, talking about ending your career. And then you hit a home run in your last at-bat. Then where it got you in the bullpen, coach for the Mariners, talking about, hey, your adjustment into coaching. And now here we are 3 years from that, and you're now the American League Manager of the Year. What the heck are you going to do in year 4 of this? This has been wild.
Yeah, I couldn't draw it up. I don't know. All I can say is I've surrounded myself with great people. I try to be, curious. I try to learn and just be there for the players. Everything we do is for our players. It's not about me. It's not about the coaches. It's not about the front office. It's about our players. And as long as we keep that the focus, they're going to succeed. And that's what I aim to do. And I just feel so honored and blessed. I've been so fortunate to have the career I have. And Alyssa and I count our blessings every night. We're so thankful for the people that we've met and have impacted our lives. And we're going to continue to try and find people to impact our lives, because that's how you get better.
Well, I'll tell you what, for all the years, whether it's the different radio stations and then we created this, you've always been so good to us and good to me. I've always appreciated that. Remember all the interviews we did, the back-to-back All-Star games, what that meant. And it's been fun to watch you grow, because the story it keeps getting better. You think you can't add any more to it. It just keeps getting better. So A's fans love you. They always, no matter where this franchise, whether it's Sacramento or ends up in Vegas, they're always going to love you. Congratulations.
You.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Yeah. And can't wait to see you in spring training.
Yeah, same to you. It's always fun to see the green and gold, and it's always going to be very special to our family. And we're so thankful for our times in Oakland and with the A's in general. And, we'll see how it goes with this transition, but we're always going to be Oakland A's in our hearts. And we're just proud to have played for that franchise.
The American League Manager of the Year right here on A's Cast Live. How cool is that? Steve Vogt. Tell you what, man, you talk about just luck. What this guy, everything he seems to be around, everything he seems to touch just turns to gold. What a very charmed life, Stephen Vogt.
One of the rare people I can say, along with Brett Rooker, that I share a birthday with. Well, CeCe Sabathia, Coco Crisp.
Jesse Ortiz, ESPN.
Jesse Rogers.
Jesse Rogers, our buddy, yeah. Jesse, how are you? Good to see you again. Switch it over. Get the camera over. How is Chicago? How's life treating you?
Not bad, not bad. Covering mediocre teams has some benefits. There's always a storyline to follow in terms of who's going to get fired. We saw Pedro Grifol get fired.
Yeah.
We saw David Ross get fired a year ago. And if you want to expand it to some other teams in Chicago, we could talk about the Blackhawks fired their coach. The Bears fired their coach.
Yeah.
So in the last 13 months, 4 coaches or managers have been fired. But we want to focus on the baseball team.
Yeah. Venable, are you happy about that? What do you think that's going to do for the White Sox?
Yeah, they finally made the right move there in terms of, okay, let's get the best young guy out there that can grow with a team that isn't over his skis a little bit. I think Pedro Grifol was over his skis a little bit as a first-time manager, matched with a veteran team. Now they're starting a rebuild, and so they went out and got one of the smartest guys out there. And why do I say he's one of the smartest guys out there? Because of who he's been with. He worked under Joe Madden. He worked under Alex Cora. He worked under, obviously, Bruce Bochy, and Bochy spoke highly of him. So what we know of Venable, he checks every single box. Now, you still have to be a leader of young men, and that's the one question mark for any first-time manager. But I would say, just using Pedro Grifol, the previous manager, as an example, he didn't check every box. In my opinion. This guy does for the team he's taking over, which is a rebuilding team.
Last year in Nashville, when you came on with us, Marquee was right next to us.
Mm-hmm.
And they never fired up their cameras. They kept waiting. They never fired up the cameras. And then now I look at, this. They didn't even show up this year. And I'm wondering with the Cubs, we keep hearing we're going to trade guys away. Yeah. What's the game plan going forward with the Cubs?
Yeah, I mean, I had someone told me this a year or two ago, and it kind of applies. The White Sox are a mid-market team acting like a small market team. The Cubs are a big market team acting like a mid-market team. And it's kind of sad. It does feel like their focus has shifted from, we got to win this championship for the first time in 108 years to, okay, we have other things to worry about, profits and private equity and all the things you don't want to hear when you're a fan of a baseball team. I guess the best way to sum it up with the Cubs, for those that don't follow them, is, of course, they want to win, but they're not in the mode of doing whatever it takes to win, because they could certainly dominate that division monetarily, and that would translate on the field as well. They've had back-to-back 83-win teams. That, to me, screams, put some finishing touches on it. Get that thing overnight. It's not a 75-win team. Like, go get a Soto. They weren't involved. They weren't involved in Judge. They weren't involved. They tapped out on Ohtani early. Now they're not involved in Soto. I know it costs a lot of money, but at some point, you're the Chicago Cubs. You're in a big market. Why not go get them? So ownership, I feel like, has changed since the pandemic. Their kind of MO, their kind of way they go about things. And they're instead of trying to get to 100 wins, they're trying to squeeze out 90. That's it. And they've been stuck at 83. Maybe they can get to 88. And that was part of the reason Craig Counsell was hired, because he's so good on the margins, squeeze more out of less. Well, last year he squeezed less out of more because he had more payroll than he's ever had, and they won the same amount of games.
Yeah, it's like crazy. It's like you spend so much on the manager. Why would you not? And what we're hearing, Bellinger, so they're about to dump guys.
Yeah, so in a vacuum, I understand what they're doing in one sense. Teams these days like to keep flex. Again, this is all in a vacuum. Teams like flexibility. They like players that can move around. I do feel like the DH position has now turned into that. Let's rotate guys, get them off their feet. So in a perfect world, I understand. My point being, they have a rookie in center making the minimum. They have a rookie at first making the minimum. So those are Bellinger's key positions. Suzuki was terrible in right field, so they put him at DH. He doesn't want a DH. So they have Suzuki and Bellinger, and in their mind, it's almost a surplus from a value standpoint, because they want to keep DH open to rotate, and they have two players for one position, and one I think is overpaid in Bellinger, even though they're the ones that paid him, and the other is good. Suzuki, the numbers look great on paper, not as clutch as I think they'd like him to be. So they're finding a reason to trade one of them.
Yeah.
So let's take it outside of a vacuum. I don't think they can afford to move offense unless they bring offense in, and even then, it's robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's not getting better. It's maintaining what you have. So I in theory, understand what they're trying to do. Keep flexible, have value, but you need great players to win championships or get into playoffs, and they don't have enough of them.
All right, so here we are, day 2. Obviously, everything was about Soto.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get Luis Severino. What do you think about that with the A's? Such a big deal for us.
Like everybody, kind of surprising. And they went after Walker Buehler, right?
Yeah.
And you like to see it. There's a good. I'll tell you what, the A's can hit, and nobody really outside of maybe Oakland and now Sacramento noticed that. Like, that was a good hitting team. I had some dealings with Rooker for a story late, and he's great, and it's good that they're adding on the mound. It's for a team that's not going to spend a ton. I like that offense. They just got to, add to it. So why not Severino? I think he could possibly be even better in kind of a smaller market situation. Like if he survived New York and was pretty decent, especially this year again, I think he'll thrive there. So I liked it, was pleasantly surprised by it.
Okay, now that Soto's gone,
Yeah.
what do you expect this afternoon, tomorrow? Any big news you think we're going to see?
Yeah, so I would say two things. I think in the coming days, maybe even extended out to a week or more, we're going to see the trade market really heat up. And I think we're going to look back at this winter as the winner of the trade. I mean, Nolan Arenado is going to be traded. I mean, how many times do we say that about a guy like his caliber? Cody Bellinger or Suzuki is going to be traded. I'm convinced of it. So, again, there's two kind of big names. They won't trade Bellinger and Suzuki, but one of those guys, Arenado, is going to get traded. Kyle Tucker could very well be traded
that's a huge
in
name.
a deft move by Houston if they don't want to sign him to, like, Soto. Forget about Ohtani. He's a unicorn because he pitches. Soto really raised the bar for the normal great player. Ohtani is, he's his own guy. But is Kyle Tucker $25 million less a player per year than Soto? I don't think so. So now all of a sudden, if Jim Crane, Houston doesn't want to give up more than 6 years, Tucker's going to walk because he can get 7 or 8. And so they might trade him. So Tucker, Bellinger, Arenado, it's going to be musical chairs. So I think we're going to look back at this as the winner of the trade. Now, having said that, I think starting pitching is going to go through the roof here with money. I think Max Fried's about to cash in, maybe even, in the next day or two. If you asked about the end of the meetings, I think the end of the meetings, our starting pitchers are going to sign Burns, Fried, and get paid a ton. And then the trades will come with the position players.
One of the best, ESPN. Read all of his stuff, ESPN.com. I know it's tough to always get you, but I appreciate the time. You're a busy man. Yeah. And let's do this again in spring training.
Absolutely. I'll be out there. You got it.
All right, coming up next, we got the president of baseball operations of the Cincinnati Reds, Nick Krall, next, right here on A's Cast Live.
This is Commander Cody, and fall is upon us, and Linksole has dropped their new fall line. New pants fit for a more custom experience with elevated layers and performance polos to help transition from season to season, no matter if you're wearing them out on the golf course, out to dinner, or just hanging out with friends. Some effortless looks to help you find the right look and feel for any occasion. Go to their website, linksole.com. That's linksole.com, and find out how you can unlock 20% off your next order. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
With more sunshine.
Looking to become an A's insider today. Visit athletics.com/newsletter and sign up to receive the latest team highlights, up-to-date news, features, and more, all delivered free to your inbox. That's athletics.com/newsletter.
Streaming from the winter meetings, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
Nick, it's great to have you on the program. We appreciate the time stopping by. Obviously, things are a lot busy for all of you baseball executives, but how you been?
Good. It's been a good couple days down here, and hopefully we can get something done.
Yeah, what's a big thing you wanted to accomplish coming down here to Dallas, Texas?
We're looking to just improve our club as best we can. We made a trade for Brady Singer a couple weeks ago. Maybe probably looking at offense and defense position players to bolster that side of the ball.
I mean, still looking at your depth chart, and remember when we played you earlier this year, you still got a lot of good young athletic talent.
Yeah. We're really excited about that group. I like the young guys. It's just continuing to develop them and help them move forward.
What's always interesting is ballpark, how your ballpark plays. Now, you remember way back when being out in Oakland, how you build it with the big foul territory, marine layer, cold at night.
Cavernous.
It's a whole different ball game there, what you got in Cincinnati.
It's very, very much smaller than it was in Oakland, no question, yeah.
How do you go about building your team around a ballpark where, let's face it, the ball flies?
Well, pitchers, you're looking for guys that can miss bats, and you want to make sure that you can pick up the ball defensively. And offense, you want guys that can make contact, hit line drives, and some of those line drives are going to get out of the ballpark. You never know. You hit a little line drive, and balls get to become home runs in Great American Ballpark.
You've seen a lot of great players in your time in baseball. You've been in this game a long time. Is there anything like Elly De La Cruz that you've ever seen? Just size, speed, what he's able to do.
I think just from an athletic talent. You don't have many like him. He is a special talent. He's a special kid. Works really hard. And people said, "Oh, he strikes out." Yeah, he's 22. He's going to make mistakes. He's really improved, and what he's done mentally to get better and to improve his game from the first year in the big leagues to the second year in the big leagues. I'm really excited to see what he can do this year.
The one thing that we've noticed in highlights and playing against the A's, the amount of space he eats up so fast. For a guy, we've seen players power arm, to see his speed for his size is unbelievable.
Yeah, to make a play in foul territory where the normal left fielder is going to make it, and he's there well before him. It's a special, impressive show of athleticism.
When we start talking about a contract like Juan Soto, because obviously having worked for the A's and now all these years with Cincinnati, it's to see a guy. What does it say to the Reds and the A's and the other teams when you see somebody sign 15 years? It could be up to like $805 million.
That's great. I'm happy for Juan Soto. He obviously got what he wanted and where he's looking for. For us, we just have to know who we are and continue to scout, develop players from within, and produce our own player pipeline and continue to grow players. I think that's something we just have to look at it. Hey, how can we continue to bring players in and get better? And you're going to take your shots every now and then, but that's part of the game.
Do you feel like the Central still is kind of wide open for everybody, depending on health and how especially the young players progress?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting offseason with everybody in our division. We've got a lot of good teams pushing forward. You got teams that are up and coming with young players. You got guys like Ellie De La Cruz and Paul Skeens, and I think it's going to be a really exciting division this year.
Yeah, Derek Shelton's going to be here a little bit later. It's going to kind of be the same thing because he's still like you guys. You too, really, at last year, people thought, this could be the Reds, this could be the Pirates. I think we could be talking about you guys again.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. I think, I'm really excited. It's been great to have Terry Francona, get him as a manager, and hopefully he can get these guys moving in the right direction.
What was it like? Because we thought Tito was done. Like we talked to him last time we had him on this show, always because he has the A's, being the bench coach. He's great to us. It seemed like he was done. Like, I'm retired. Like, where did the conversation go to where you thought you had a shot at bringing him in?
I honestly didn't know. We made a change at manager, and then we looked at it, and somebody called me and said, hey, you might want to look at this. And he's on the list. He's a Hall of Fame manager.
Oh, yeah.
He's impressive. So, but at the end of the day, I gave him a shout. We ended up connecting. We went to Tucson and sat down, and it was easy. It was, he knew he was the guy you wanted to hire.
Were you surprised he was available? They still wanted to do it.
Yeah, I was. I think that, we heard some things that, hey, he might be interested, but he's not really sure. And so we sat down and had a conversation, and it couldn't have gone better. And he was he really excited and energized to after this year off to become a manager.
Kind of reminds me a little bit when he left Boston for Cleveland. There's something about him, the way he connects with people, and still as a guy, as a teacher at heart.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a very relaxed atmosphere, but it's also very disciplined in what he does, and he connects with people on so many different levels.
Let's end on this. I know you're busy. Your time with the A's back. You didn't know they were going to write a book about it. You didn't know that a movie would come out later on. It'd be up for an Academy Award. When you look back at all the different things and the time and Billy Beane and everybody, what do you think about your time with the Athletics?
It's kind of fun. I mean, I started worked in the minor league clubhouse in Phoenix. Went to worked at spring training. Went to Visalia. Worked there as a clubhouse guy for the year. Didn't know how it was going to go. After the year, Chad Huss, who was still the groundskeeper there in spring training, he called me, needed a guy, and I said, hey, I'll do it. This is great. I learned a lot. And then at the end of the year, Dave Forrest and Danny McCormick hired me as an intern in Oakland, and it was I couldn't thank the people there enough. I mean, whether it's people like Voos and David and Dan Feinstein, who was our video guy, and I was the bat boy. It was tremendous. No, it was really tremendous to be around those people, and I learned a lot from so many people in that organization. And Michael Lewis was always around, so
yeah.
you knew he was writing. And but Billy gave me a shot to go to lunch with him. Paul DePodesta, David Forrest, and they took me to lunch a lot, and I just got to sit there and learn and listen. And I can't thank them for that experience, for letting me work in the office and then take that down to the take that down to the clubhouse and just learn all aspects of the game. I really am appreciative for that.
I mean, if you think about the names you just mentioned, David Forrest is now our GM.
Yep.
You got Dan is assistant GM. You're the president of baseball operations for the Reds. Paul D. Podesta is with the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
I mean, just the names and the smart people you were around, and now the success that you guys have all had. I mean, do you ever look back and go, that's pretty amazing time?
Yeah, it's you look back and you think about it. It's really cool to see where you are. And I my internship was something I can't duplicate for people we bring into our office, but you try the best you can to give people the best experience you can. And, when you look out and you see guys that you've had in your internship program and you see them as the president of baseball ops or a GM, assistant GM, it's so much fun to like, that's what I'm most proud of in this game, is being able to take a lot of the lessons that I learned in Oakland and being able to foster that in our young people and help them move forward with their careers as well. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, who would have thought in Visalia that one day you'd be running one of the teams in Major League Baseball?
Yeah,
or
kidding.
when you were at LSU.
Yeah. No kidding. No kidding.
Hey, always thanks for the time. We truly appreciate
Thanks.
it. We'll be rooting for you this year. It's going to be a lot of fun watching that NL Central. It's wide open.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You be well. Have a
too.
great Christmas, great holiday, and we'll talk to you sometime during the season. We got more coming up next from the winter meetings right here on A's Cast Live.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
This is Commander Cody, and fall is upon us, and Linksole has dropped their new fall line. New pants fit for a more custom experience with elevated layers and performance polos to help transition from season to season, no matter if you're wearing them out on the golf course, out to dinner, or just hanging out with friends. Some effortless looks to help you find the right look and feel for any occasion. Go to their website, linksole.com. That's linksole.com, and find out how you can unlock 20% off your next order. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away from the bustle of Silicon Valley. Go to cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
A's DH Brent Rooker sat down at the Townie on A's Cast Live to discuss the positive vibe in the clubhouse during the second half of 2024.
Yeah, it's special. I think, even after that last game in Seattle, guys are already kind of itching to get to spring training and get back with this group that we have and continue the momentum that we built the last three or so months of the year. I think we've got a bunch of guys who are bought into what we're doing, a bunch of guys who are bought into each other, bought into themselves as individually as players. There's a lot of confidence both in one another as teammates and then in ourselves as well as individual players. So I think we all like what we have going. We could all kind of sense the things starting to change and starting to turn towards the end of the year and even kind of starting midway through the year. And we're just looking forward to getting back at it and keeping that momentum going.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
If you haven't been to the Chicken Pie Shop in Walnut Creek, what are you waiting for? You're going to love the new menu, and it's a great place to watch all the pennant race action and the upcoming NFL and college football seasons. Come taste their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next corporate party or birthday celebration. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
A's general manager David Forst was on A's Cast Live and discussed building the A's roster heading into a new ballpark in West Sacramento.
What we do know about Sutter Health is that as it relates to the PCL, it's a pretty average ballpark. I mean, it's not Albuquerque, it's not Las Vegas. Colorado Springs isn't in the PCL anymore, but it's not Colorado Springs. So it has always played as a slight hitter's ballpark, but nothing compared to the rest of the PCL. Now, once we put major league players in there and the major league environment, we'll see. Right now, we're going to build a team that we think is the best in any environment. We knew the Coliseum well. We knew the kind of things that play here. It'll take us a little while at Sutter Health, but I think we should expect it to be pretty neutral until it proves otherwise.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
For 175 years, Comerica has thrived through every rise and fall. We've lived through triumphs and turmoil, witnessed every advance, and survived every setback. Through surety and uncertainty, we've stood the test of time by standing by our beliefs, our values, and our customers. Comerica Bank, 175 years strong. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
JJ Bleday joined Towney on A's Cast Live and discussed how Brent Rooker has become a leader for the club.
Rook's a good leader. Like you said, he's been through the ups and downs. He's experienced a lot of different organizations and different teams, but yet he's excelled the last 2 years with the Oakland A's. So he's had tremendous success, and he's found out who he is, I think, in the big leagues. And it's been fun to lean on him and ask him questions about, body, diet, approach at the plate. What are you thinking mechanically and all these things? And, he's obviously got the body, the strength, and, the bat speed and the approach. And it's just cool to see him develop even more this year. I mean, he just again, he went on that tear, and he's just a big believer in trusting his process and trusting himself. And he works his tail off. And that's the type of guy we want. He was definitely a little bit more vocal this year because he could feel that veteran presence and feel that he was a vet. So he took it to heart, and he went with it, and he was just a good role model for us to kind of mimic our games after.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Looking to stay up to date on all things A's? Head over to athletics.com/A'sCast. That's athletics.com/A'sCast to listen to A's baseball in full 24/7 coverage of the A's, only on A's Cast. With a single click, you can stream great shows, live pre- and post-game coverage, and of course, all the great action of the A's this season. Head to athletics.com/A'sCast today.
A's Cast Live continues from the winter meetings. Here's Chris Townsend.
Okay, last night was Hurtado's. Tonight you're saying it's Terry Black's.
So my wife sent over for us to go check out. So we'll see. We went to some place called the Henry. It wasn't bad. They had some holiday bar on top of it with. They're supposed to have all these special cocktails. They were the same cocktails they had inside the restaurant. It was just a rooftop bar that was decorated for the holidays.
Well, what's interesting about barbecue, whether you go Kansas City, where we were in Nashville last year, this year in Texas, have you noticed that no matter what they throw at us, we're going to really enjoy? I don't think we're hard to please.
Barbecue, no. Ray pointed out last night, I'm the most picky one by far on the trip. But when it comes to barbecue, I'll eat anything. So
You are kind of a pain in the ass, let's be honest.
I was a little disappointed. I ordered a, chicken tortilla soup yesterday. I said, please no avocado. There was literally 4 avocados cut up in that soup.
Because that's usually what comes in it.
I know, but I didn't want it. I'm not an avocado fan. And everyone's like, Dina's cousin and her girlfriend, they're like, so.
Couldn't you just take the avocado out?
There was so much that I had to stop scooping it out.
There wasn't that. There's no way there
Ray
was that much.
was a lot of avocado in there, wasn't there? He was sitting right next to me. But no, they're like, you live in California. How much you like avocado? I'm like, well, I'm not from California. I didn't see an avocado until I moved there.
Okay, so how long have you now lived in California?
12 years now.
Okay, how long did you live in Pennsylvania?
23.
Okay, at some point you're going to live in California longer than you live in Pennsylvania.
True. Oh, let me say hi to our guy.
Right? And at some point you're going to be, oh, there he is. There he is. How are you, my friend? All I know is I saw you earlier today. You came out in a nice-looking sports coat, and then all of a sudden it popped up on my thing. Derek Shelton makes bold Pirates statement.
Wow. Yeah. What was the bold statement?
I think he's saying you guys can win the division.
I think what I said was we have the pitching to win the division, and we need to add some, offense to that. But I think it's a situation where our pitching is pretty good, and
it's damn good.
Yeah, and pitching wins games. So I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I think when I start looking at it, I mean, Jones has as much talent as anybody, Keller, and then obviously the guy Skeens. I mean, it's exciting time for the Pirates.
It's a deep group of pitching. I mean, with the guys we had last year, we get Oviedo back this year. We have Chandler coming. We have Harrington coming. We have Barco coming. I mean, we have a group of pitchers that, we have a nice group of starting pitchers.
It's interesting because we've had Mark Kotze here. We've had Bob Melvin, Torey Lovello, all these different managers. We talk about you just can't have enough.
No.
It's like the average team's going to use 13 starters. Scott Emerson, our pitching coach, was here earlier. It's just we talk about pitchings and we talk about star pitching, but you can just never have enough guys.
No, you really can't. And I think the thing about it is, you say you got 5 starters, you really probably need 7, 8, 9 to go through. I mean, your bullpen's 13 guys, but you need more than that. I mean, you're going to run through 17 probably. Guys are going to get hurt. Guys are not going to perform. Guys are going to underperform. Guys are going to overperform. There's going to be surprises. You need pitching. I mean, arms are such a valuable commodity.
Your strength is this young pitching. How hard is it for you? Because I know you have to manage it. You want to keep it healthy. You want to do what's right for them. But you at times need to ride them too if you want to get to where you need to go. How tough is that for you?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a challenge. I think we were very thoughtful with what we did with Paul last year. And, we had to be at that point. But now we're at the point where we think we can, kind of let him go a little bit. With Jared, I mean, he missed 6 weeks last year, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Oviedo is going to come back. He's going to have some sort of limits coming off Tommy John. We're going to have to figure it out. But I think it goes back to your point. Like, you can never have enough, so you have to figure out how to use it.
When you watch Skeens pitch, like, is there a comp for you of what you've seen in your long career in pro ball? What you think he's like?
I don't know. He's big. He's physical. I mean, he's size-wise, he's similar to Verlander. He's probably a little thicker than Verlander was. College pitcher. But you don't see, I mean, DeGrom's big, but he's leaner.
Yeah.
This guy's just, I mean, he's a different animal in terms of how he goes about it, how he prepares, his ability to make pitches at such a young age. So having a comp for him, no, I really don't. I'm just trying to think about big guys. I mean, Garrett's big and physical, very similar to how Paul is, but he's a very unique guy.
Earlier today, Billy Owens was here, our assistant general manager, who's talking about playing against you and Jeter in the minor leagues and thinking about these young guys, right? And then we got this guy, Nick Kurtz, that's we drafted in the first round out of Wake Forest. And when I interviewed him, these kids coming out of like an LSU or a Wake Forest, how well they know analytics, how well they know the data, how well they know themselves, how well they know the game. Skeen seems like one of these guys. It's not only do they have the talent, they seem very bright at an early age to play this game.
They're getting access to a lot of information that we did not get. And when Billy was comparing those two guys, that was not same.
He put you in the same.
We were on the same team, but that was not same by any stretch of the imagination. The thing is now is that college programs have all that information. We were actually ahead of the game. I mean, Skeens was at LSU with Wes Johnson, who's now at Georgia, who was a pitching coach for the Twins when I was there. So he'd been a major league pitching coach. So he actually understood what it took. But the advanced analytics and the advanced information that they have at these major college programs now is completely a game changer, and it expedites the development of the transition into Major League Baseball or into professional baseball.
So the big thing for you is offense. So down here, is this what we're looking to accomplish, or is this planting seeds for signings hopefully later this offseason?
I think it's a combination of both. I mean, now that Soto is signed, we should see the trickle-down effect in terms of the free agent market, people allocating their funds, people that were in that game, where do they go to, and then affecting on down farther. We're always exploring trades in terms of, to try to add to our offense. And like we talked about, we do have a surplus of pitching. So if we have to go from that spot, it's something that we can talk about. I think however we're looking to add, we just may have to make sure we add in the right spots. We have the outfield spots. We have the first base spot that we need to be able to add in. Right now it's just about getting the best available guys.
Yeah. How key is it though that you add guys versatility, guys that can do multiple things?
It's really important. I mean, we have the guys internally. We acquired Nick York at the deadline for Priester from Boston. I mean, he played second, third, right, left for us. Really the only guys that we have penciled in at the certain spots. I mean, O'Neill's going to play center, and
yeah, it's interesting.
And Brian's going to play left and maybe a little bit of first. Key Brian's going to play third. We have IKF that can bounce around. We have Triolo who won a gold glove.
Though,
yeah,
right?
he's going to play short, but he can play second. He can play third. Triolo won a gold glove as a utility guy. He can play all 4 infield positions and play in the outfield. Nick Gonzalez can play up the middle on both sides. So having that versatility is really important for us.
So right now, let's end on this, is really you got to feel it's anyone's game in the Central, right?
I think so. I think that's why you're seeing people active. I mean, the Cubs obviously have a good team. The Reds pitching is very deep. It's very good. They're going to get McLean back. The Brewers have won the division over the last couple of years. So, I mean, it's definitely a deep division. You don't know what the Cardinals are going to do, how they're going to add, how they're going to subtract. So it's going to be a very competitive division.
Will it seem weird? Because everything that we have taught, I went over and I was on KMOX, their radio station over there, because everybody's asking about Luis Severino. Hey, we made a big signing, right? So everybody's really interested. And you start talking to them, like Cardinals are going to really reimagine, reimage, reload, whatever it is. Is that going to be weird?
It's going to be strange. I mean, and I don't know how that transition is going to go with the fact of this year, next year. I mean, next year they're being taken over by Chaim Bloom, who, had his roots in Tampa when I was there and then was in Boston. So how they reimagine, how they redesign, I think will be interesting to see moving forward. They're losing, key components in terms of Goldie coming off their club. I mean, it's been reported that there's a chance that, Arenado gets traded. I don't know how that is, how that, will go, but yeah, there's a chance of them. They're going to have to reimagine their starting staff because Gibson and Lennon are both free agents. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes.
There's a lot of first basemen out there, and you could use maybe a first baseman.
We could definitely. That's a spot that we have targeted that, we could add.
Well, I can tell you between this guy and Dallas Braden, we got all these Pirates people. I got Pirate Raise the Jolly Roger everywhere around this place.
I love that.
There's a difference. I'm actually from the city. Dallas, he just jumped on.
You have any questions for your guy?
Brian Reynolds, first base?
Yeah, I think he's going to play there. I think he's going to play there a little bit. We're going to work him out there in spring training. He took ground balls at the end of the year. It's something he kind of approached us with and said, like, hey, I think I want to talk about it. He's got good hands. He's a good athlete. To say that he's going to go there full time, I don't think so. But if it gives us versatility moving forward, then yeah, I think it's something that we'll talk about.
Mechanical issue. What was it with having Bednar, last year?
It was just inconsistency of command is what it was. And, I think the thing we have to root to is he's a 2-time All-Star closer. There's not a lot of guys that can say they've done it. Last year, he had a little blip in the radar. He was not, he was hurt all of spring training, had an abbreviated spring training, came out, just struggled with fastball command overall. But I think we saw signs, late in the year in lower leverage situations where the stuff played back to what we expect. The one good thing is the velo never dropped. The velo never dipped down. It's just we got to get him back to command.
And one last one. Hire Brent Strom. I know it's going to do great things for Jared Jones and the young Mitch Keller, but what is it going to do for Paul Skeens?
I think it's going to do a ton for a lot of people. It's not just, Jones, Keller, Skeens. I think it's going to help me. I think it's going to help Oscar Marine. I mean, when you're able to add a guy that, is a veteran pitching coach and one of, the most trusted pitching minds in the game. And he comes in and he starts talking to Oscar Marine, our pitching coach, and they hit it off right away. And, he's willing to come to our group to be the assistant pitching coach. It shows, number one, no ego. And the thing that really kind of got me is the fact that, he's like, all I want to do is work with good young pitchers. And I think he kind of identified us as much as we identified him.
It's like bringing in the wizard.
Yeah, York's a local kid for us. He lives, I think, he's from Campbell or right in the San Jose area. So hopefully he does well because I watched his brother play at San Luis Cal Poly.
Really?
So yeah, his brother is a big first baseman. So
yeah, that was a really good trade for us. I mean, this kid really has the idea how to hit. He's got a good idea of what he's doing. Sometimes you have to trade. We traded from depth. We traded Quinn Priester, who we think we thought was going to be a good major league starter, but we got Nick York, who can really swing the bat and did it for us when he came to the big leagues late in the year.
Well, I think we're going to be rooting for you.
I appreciate it.
We're going to be rooting for it.
Yeah.
We're going to be following you.
You guys come to Pittsburgh this year, so
yeah.
I'll be there.
This is our year where you guys come to us.
Well, you have a good Christmas, happy holidays, and we'll talk to you this coming season, and we're going to be pulling for you.
All right, thanks.
Always
thanks
great
for
to
having
have
me
you on.
All right.
We got more coming up next right here on A's Cast Live from the winter meetings.
Brent Rooker, the 2024 Silver Slugger winner, joined Townie on A's Cast Live to reflect on earning a spot on the A's roster in 2023.
It was a special moment. It was a stressful day, and it was a relieving feeling when I got that news, obviously, because I kind of, I'd been DFA'd and then claimed in November. And I talking to Mark early that offseason, as soon as I got claimed, talking to David, talking to Connie, some of the guys in the front office. The message was like, hey, we're not, nothing is guaranteed, obviously, but if you come in and you perform well in spring training, we think there's an opportunity for you to make this team and earn the bat. And so that was my mindset coming to that camp, just go in, prove myself, do what I do offensively, and kind of let everything take care of itself. And for that to be rewarded with that last roster spot and be given the opportunity to kind of earn more bats as we got into the season was really cool.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
This is Commander Cody, and fall is upon us, and Linksole has dropped their new fall line. New pants fit for a more custom experience with elevated layers and performance polos to help transition from season to season, no matter if you're wearing them out on the golf course, out to dinner, or just hanging out with friends. Some effortless looks to help you find the right look and feel for any occasion. Go to their website, linksole.com. That's linksole.com, and find out how you can unlock 20% off your next order. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away from the bustle of Silicon Valley. Go to cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
JJ Bleday joined Townie on A's Cast Live and shared his thoughts on playing in center field every day during the season.
The one thing was comfort, knowing you're going to be in the lineup. You know you're playing. You know you're going to be in center. It's not like you're playing left and right. For the most part, you're in the center every single game. One thing was just taking care of the body post game. I think that's one thing I learned was stay on top of your health and fitness. Make sure you're getting lifts in and you're not slacking. It's an everyday job and it's a grind, so you got to really just embrace that. And then the other thing is just kind of fine-tuning my approach. We all want to change stuff mechanically. We all want to try to improve that way, but at the end of the day, you're kind of dealt with what you got once that season starts in terms of mechanics, and you really got to fine-tune that approach. And I think I did a good job at talking about approaches and finding what works best for me to attack these guys and prepare for these guys come game time.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Streaming from the winter meetings, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All righty. This is the end of day 2 of the winter meetings. Ray the Karate Kid is here. Ray, read me the list of everybody we have had today.
So we kicked off the morning of Scott Emerson, followed by Mark Kotze. They kind of intertwined a little bit.
So the
That was
pitching
nice.
coach and the manager of the Athletics.
Yep. Then we brought on Ryan Ripken, Bob Melvin.
Son
followed.
of Cal Ripken. Let's
Yep.
explain who everybody is. Son
True.
of Cal Ripken.
Nephew of Bill.
Former player, now doing a podcast and covering the Orioles and all of baseball. Do you think you get any good guess when your dad was Cal Ripken?
I would think so. I would hope so.
Yeah. I think he's doing okay.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be successful.
I got breaking news after Ray's done. Breaking news from Road Trip Mike that we can break.
Road Trip Mike has breaking news.
Text me
about himself.
No, about himself.
Or about baseball.
About someone we're friends with in the sport. Go ahead, Ray. Keep going.
All right. Then we had good friend Bob Melvin, manager of the San Francisco Giants.
The great Bob Melvin, winningest manager in A's history.
Yep. Followed by John Morosi. Stop by, talk a little hockey and baseball.
MLB.com, MLB Network has his podcast about Hall of Famers now, and we'll be doing work with the sister station, NHL Network, coming up here.
Yeah. Followed by Katie Wu from The Athletic, covers the Cardinals.
Cardinals in bad shape, man. This is going to be a rough year. Hard to believe because the Cardinals are a franchise. They've been one of the great franchises in the sports history, and they have always been a model of consistency, and they sound like a train wreck right now. Hard to believe that the Cardinals and Chaim Bloom, once again, going to get another shot at running a franchise. Already got thrown out of Boston. How long is this thing going to work in St. Louis?
Yeah, we'll have to see for sure. Then Eno Saris stopped by afterwards.
Not only did he get thrown out of Boston, but he is now going to be in charge of two of the most historic franchises in our sports history, the Red Sox and now the Cardinals. Got thrown out of Boston. See, that's the thing. The historic franchises, they don't like going the Rays' way.
It's true.
They think they want to go that way, and then they go that way, and it doesn't work out. We'll see. He got thrown out of Boston. Let's see how long it works in St. Louis.
Yep.
All right, go. Sorry.
No worries. Eno Saracen stopped by after Katie Wu. I wonder if he's taking that nap now, but lots of good stuff from Eno as usual.
Our national baseball columnist from The Athletic.
Yep. Then a guy we've been trying to get on for a while. You guys have talked to him remotely. First time you saw him in person, Mike Petrelio. Stopped by after Eno Saris. Talk a little Juan Soto. He got you fired up. That led to your big rant to lead off the afternoon.
I dig Mike. Mike does a great job. MLB.com. Mike Petriello, and you see him on MLB Network. He's a good guy. He's in New York, and he normally has he ever. Why have we not had him here at the winter meetings?
I don't remember ever seeing. Oh no, you know what? He has been here before, but I don't think he could do it the one time we asked him. There's our buddy Dan O'Dowd.
Yeah, well, I mean we've had him on, so it's been good. But to do the deal to have him in person, pretty big deal. He's one of the top data guys that we got in our business when it comes to the media.
And then afterwards, we ended the morning show with an impromptu interview. Billy Owens stopped by, assistant general manager for the Athletics.
The great Billy O, which already sent out to all of our. We have a lot of friends. Billy O, I have a lot of friends that went to high school with him at Bellarmine. And so I sent his interview out. Great reviews. Everybody loved Billy O on. And it was good to get him because he was supposed to be on tomorrow, but we got him in. We didn't have any pressure of another guest. We could just go as long as we wanted. How long we go? Like a half hour with him?
It was pretty long, and he's a master of comps. So
yes.
That always helps. But yeah, that concluded the morning show, and then we started off the afternoon hour here at the winter meetings. Ryan Divish from the Seattle Times, beat writer for the Mariners. Very angry from some of our viewers. At least that was
that's what Scott Emerson said.
Woo.
Emo thought he was very angry.
Things are not good in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Not only did we make Steve Cohen panic by signing Severino, and he had to go spend Soto. Now the Mariners aren't spending, and it's making Ryan Divish want to jump off of. It's not great.
We need to make the president of common sense a position, a legit
President
position.
of common sense.
He always drops some great nugget when he's on.
Ryan Divish is the best. I love having him. He says something, right? That's always like, even if he's covering the Mariners, he says something, and he's funny, right? The Scottsdale bro, the common sense. When you have a writer that is going to be on, we're going to have him throughout the year because we're going to see him in spring training during the season. Ryan Divish is a keeper.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Stephen Vogt, then, we pre-recorded him yesterday. We played the interview we had with him today, manager of the Cleveland Guardians, always, I believe, and just, a man among men. Like, he's awesome.
How about Ryan? I mean, how many times where he just says, I'm grateful?
Yeah.
I mean, he's grateful. I mean, it just it goes to show the kind of dude Stephen Vogt is. He's just good people. It's why good things happen to him. But, he's blessed. He knows it, and he wants to thank everybody. He makes everybody a part. That's what good leaders do. They make everybody feel like they're a part of it. Like Cody just always wants to be about him, and we're just lucky to work around him. Stephen Vogt is like the anti. Like Cody's like, it's 6:30, and see, Stephen Vogt wants us all to be a part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very, very, very including.
Yeah.
And then
inclusive. He's an includer.
Jesse Rogers from ESPN stopped by for a bit to talk things Chicago, what's going on with the Cubs, and a little of the White Sox.
I always like Jesse. Breaking news. Believes we're going to see some trades probably by tomorrow.
Yeah.
So tune in tomorrow. We're probably going to have some trades for you.
Yeah. And then Nick Krall, the president of baseball operations for the Cincinnati Reds, stopped by. I should have done my research a little earlier. I did not know that Nick was from York, Pennsylvania, where I lived in PA for a good amount of my life.
Intern for the Moneyball era of the Athletics, as he was hired to be an intern by David Forst and Dan Feinstein. Dan Feinstein, assistant general manager for the Athletics. Think about that. Back then, they hired lower level employees, Feinstein and Forst, hired Krall. Now, Forst GM, Feinstein assistant GM of the Athletics, and Krall president of baseball operations for the Reds. Who would have thought back then, when they're all a bunch of just young guys, how important their jobs would be years from now?
I'm pretty sure wasn't
all working under Billy Beane.
Wasn't Perry Manassian like a clubby under Voos, and he's now the GM of the Angels?
I thought Perry Manassian worked for the Rangers because his dad was with the Rangers.
I thought he had, maybe it's a visiting. He had some ties. I swear, I thought he had some ties with us or Voos or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'd have to research it.
The ties go deep.
Yeah.
With this organization, a bunch of spread out all across baseball and across professional sports. Because you talked about it a little bit with DePodesta now in Ohio with the Browns.
Chief football strategist or football officer, I think his title is. Some fancy
How's that
title.
going?
Not great.
Jameis.
The horse is ready for battle.
Jameis is great for the sport of football when it comes to one-liners.
Yeah. He and Ryan Divish in a room together.
Just don't go to the grocery store and get crab legs with him.
Oh, wow.
What, too soon?
I thought people would move past that.
Too soon?
Oh, boy. Well, let's end on a positive note. Derek Shelton concluded the afternoon
Shelty,
show.
Pirates love. It's Pirates cast right here. I mean, my God, you guys and your Pirates love.
I'm just
raise
happy
the Jolly Roger.
I'm just happy you let Cody ask questions, though. He would have had like 10 if you let him.
Oh, it just would have kept going.
I had to ask about Brent Strom. I mean,
it's a big deal getting Brent Strom.
Yeah.
And
How old is Brent Strom
78 years old.
Yeah.
And he's the assistant pitching coach. It's not like he's the pitching coach. He's the assistant. So that was a good hire for them. He was great in Arizona.
He's like the Tex winner of the triangle.
Yes. Well, you saw what he did with the guys.
For some of you kids, Tex winner, Phil Jackson, triangle offense, Jordan, Chicago, and then Shaq Kobe in LA. Won some championships.
Yeah,
quite a few.
Phil won a few.
It didn't work out in New York.
Did Tex winner, was he, because Phil won what, 10?
10.
4 with LA, 6 with Chicago.
Yep. And then he
was Tex
11. Technically, he was one as a player with the Knicks.
That's not what we're talking. We're talking as a head coach. Was Tex with him every? I know Tex was there for all Chicago and then most of LA. Was Tex winner a part of all 10 championships?
It just says he is a 9-time champion as an assistant and a champion as a consultant with the Lakers in 2009.
So the last Laker championship, he was a consultant.
But Phil was a Kobe and Gasol. Yeah, he was a consultant.
Okay.
The late Tex Winter. He passed away in 2018.
Do you know who Tex Winter is?
No.
Okay. He's the mastermind of the triangle offense.
Oh, okay. For Phil. Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
So when Phil took over your beloved New York Knicks, he didn't have Tex Winter.
No, he did not.
No.
Could have used him.
How'd that work out?
Not well. Like most things in New York.
But the breaking news thing, this is from Road Trip Mike.
Are you going to do the sounder?
We don't need a sounder. It's from the man himself. Apparently he breaks all his news to Road Trip Mike and not me, who I talk to him about the Bills all the time. Fran Reardon will be back in Vegas.
That's breaking news. How do you know the breaking news sounder for the great?
Oh, it's not saved in there. I don't know what happened.
Where's my ABC one?
This is a different computer. I don't have all that stuff.
Dun, dun, dun. Live from the ABC Sports Desk in New York, I'm Chris Townsend. Fran Reardon has re-signed to be the manager.
Got it.
It just doesn't have that breaking news sound thing for me.
I know. We'll have to find a different one.
The old ABC News one is the best.
Yeah, it's on the other computer.
Dun, 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 dun. I like how you went CNN because you were going moderate because you don't want to, like, CNN is kind of you didn't want to go too far right with Fox or too far left with MSNBC. You went right. Even though CNN really leans left, CNN is still kind of neutral. Even though it's not, but it is.
I like to play both sides of the wall.
Yeah, you really win.
I'm a two-way player.
You're afraid.
I'm a two-way player.
You're afraid. So Fran Reardon is re-signed to be the leader of men for the Las Vegas Aviators. We can confirm.
Fran will be back in Vegas. I said confirmed. He goes, I will be in Vegas again, from Fran himself. Good for Fran.
We'll have to ask David Force about that tomorrow. Remind me to ask David Force about that tomorrow.
That should be the first question.
Did you bring back the leader of men?
David's great. We know that Luis Severino. We talked tomorrow. We want to know. We want to know about Fran Reardon.
Fran Reardon's going to win you more games than Luis Severino will.
Oh wow.
Who do you think trains these young men?
That's true. When they were, who do we have on set?
When Butler's going off, he never did J.J. Blade. When Butler's going off and Geloff and Jacob Wilson, remember, there's a part of Fran in each one of these guys.
Jacob Wilson, who Billy Owen says looks like, what do you say? Derek Jeter.
That is not.
Can you play better defense, hopefully?
Wow, God, the cheater hate around here. You guys just hate
are we
captain.
Are we going to do Yankeeography again?
You guys just
I don't see
hate
Boone anywhere. You don't have to be nice.
You guys just hate the captain. It's unbelievable.
I don't hate him as an offensive player and a winner. He just wasn't good on defense.
Here's the thing about when you make any type of like comp for Jacob Wilson, and obviously it's going to be very good. I mean, all he did was hit over 400. I mean, it's he left college. He had the best. What was it? Strikeout to what ratio?
Walk.
Was it strikeout to walk?
I think it was a walk. Yeah.
Whatever. He didn't strike out in college.
No.
All he did was hit. And then everybody says, well, let's see. And he went from let's see to he hit over 400 at every level in his first year of pro ball, first full year of pro ball. Because after he signed, he didn't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
His first full year in pro ball, he hit over 400. That's all the way through AAA. That's amazing. So, Derek, I mean, when you say the player kind of because Derek Jeter is a young player, was it? I mean, he was a skinny, tall, kind of lanky kid who could hit inside out at everything. And that got him all the way to the Hall of Fame. But, I mean, yeah, if Jacob Wilson all of a sudden is showing up every day hitting 300, are you going to be shocked? No.
He has the pedigree. We know that already.
I mean, all this kid does is hit. He's got extreme ability. And then you throw him with Zach Geloff. Think Geloff, this is going to be the okay, you had a little bit of the struggle. We get it. But also, Geloff did something that you admire, but it's also tough. Geloff got hurt and tried to play through it, and it affected him. Sometimes you got to know what's best of how to handle these type things of when you got to shut her down, when there's a lot that goes into it, but Geloff had an injury, and that played a part, him trying to play through it, and messes up your mechanics. Then you're chasing, and then it's. But hopefully we're going to see, because the year before the guy carried the offense.
Yeah.
So the second half of the season. So you start looking at Geloff, and I agree with Billy Owens. Kurtz is going to be
July 1st.
This kid could come up and just be something really, really special, like a special player for the A's, a long, long time, well through many years in Vegas. That's how good this kid's potential is, to where he could be here next year, be an all-star player already before Vegas. That's the kind of potential this kid. Let's say it. He's got superstar potential.
Yeah, we looked at his numbers in the fall league. He had 3 triples. You don't think of that when you think of a 6'5" first baseman.
Yeah.
And he can play good defense, and that's what the team needs right now.
So then you have that issue. What do you do with a first-round pick, a guy that has a lot of offensive potential too, and Tyler Soderstrom?
Yeah, and we talked to Billy Owens about that. I'm with you. I think you could try to put him at third base.
Well, this was off air, to be fair.
Yeah, but I'm saying
off air, I'm like, do you think you could at least try him at third? Just give him you need a third baseman. Why not try it? I personally think he's not great at catcher. I think the data would back me up. And if Kurtz is going to play first, DH is not a position. The only way you're going to have an everyday DH is when someone like Rooker has to do it. But you don't want Rooker. You want Rooker to play in the outfield. Maybe not all the time, but you want him to play out there.
Yeah.
Right? You want to be able to utilize DH. Like, Shane Langeliers comes into his own as an offensive player. You need his bat in the lineup. There could be a day where you DH him for a couple straight days. I love how people say, DH him one day. No, you've got to give people some time. What's wrong? McCann is a very good backup, swings it left-handed. You've got a couple days in a row where you're pitching to the righty. Why not let him catch 2-3 days and let Shane Langeliers DH? And you may have Rooker play out in left field. And then you give Miguel Andujar, who's never been able to stay healthy a couple days off. That's the way you manage it.
Andujar.
You know what? I don't think I have to say Andujar anymore, because my good friend Luis Severino said Andujar.
I know
they're friends. They go back to the Yankees organization. They're both Spanish-speaking players, and he says his name is Andujar.
It was funny
because every other guy whose name's spelled like that is Andujar. No one else is pronounced Andujar.
Whenever he said Andujar, whenever he was in the press conference, I looked at Chris and because he was listening, I said, "Hey, Andujar, not Andujar." So he's coming back from the core issue. I want to see what he's able to do this year, and it's exciting times ahead for the organization, and then we'll see what they can add in the Rule 5 draft tomorrow. We have the 5th pick. We'll talk to David Force about that in the morning.
We're going to go over this list, man. We got to come up with
I put that together, a very comprehensive pitching/third baseman list for him.
We're really stretching.
Yeah, we'll probably take a first baseman in there.
Who was the Joaquin Andujar?
Yes. Yeah.
That was in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. All I know is Severino saying Andujar. Not He didn't go because we felt like we had to pause. Andujar.
Well, Chris,
Sean Doolittle.
Chris, as you know, most people are calling him Andujar, so that's why we did it.
Well, Andujar is what his name is according to Luis Severino. Severino.
I'm going to start we'll call him Miguel Andujar going forward.
Just not I don't think we have to do the like Sean Doolittle.
Do you want the guest list for tomorrow before we go?
Yes. What do we got?
Tentatively, because we know we had some changes today. Right now, we're going to have Julian McWilliams from the Boston Globe covering the Red Sox. They haven't signed anybody.
What happened to the Boston Red Sox?
Maybe they'll get Crochet. Maybe they'll get Bregman.
What happened to the Boston? That's my first question. What happened to the Boston Red Sox? They were a global power in this game, right? It was an arms race. They were a global power, and now they're they got bumped down in the hierarchy of the big. By the way, who are the big boys left in baseball?
Team-wise? Dodgers.
All right. One.
You put the Mets in there now, right?
Why? Because they signed a contract?
Oh, well, they're trying to get everyone. They signed Verlander and Scherzer.
See, the Padres signed a bunch of big contracts, and then they got money problems.
Who
are the big boys?
Five of the 10 $100 million contracts the Mets have signed been under Steve Cohen.
Yankees.
Yeah, I guess the Yankees. Yeah, Judge and Soto. Judge and Cole. It's really about it.
Blue Jays seem like they want to be.
They want to spend money, but no, they'll take it. The Willie Adames thing is official. He passed his physical. No Carlos Correa here for the Giants. So official.
Giants acted like they wanted to be. They're not. They don't want to be. Red Sox aren't anymore. Cubs aren't. Cardinals aren't. I mean, are there really? I mean, I guess we'll throw in the Mets. I guess I'll keep spending. So that's 3. We got 3 big boys in baseball.
There's not many.
Astros don't want to be that.
Not anymore.
Even though the Astros ended up with quite a high payroll, but they knew they'd be shedding so much after.
So the Angels spend money, but it's not wisely.
Do we have any baseball insiders on tomorrow?
Yeah, Buster Olney.
That's going to be a good question for Buster. I'm going to write this down.
We're supposed to have Robert Murray at some point, too.
Who are the Red Sox? And then for Buster, how many powers are there in baseball left? Because if you go under 5, what does that mean for your sport? When under 5, you have 30 teams, and there's only a couple that you really consider big boy players. What does that say for your sport? To where in the salary cap sports, everybody can be a big-time player.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. Look, I mean, you always bring up the point of, like, no one looks at Kansas City or Pittsburgh, and the NFL is small market.
You mean the Kansas City Chiefs, the favorite to win the Super Bowl, and looking to do it again? No one's calling them a small market team?
Not that I've seen, no. What about the Packers? They're pretty good. What are they, 9
smallest market?
9-4?
They're the smallest market that is, yeah. You get to see what small market, big market, they don't have that in salary cap sports. They don't. If you're a salary cap sport, you don't look at teams as have and have-nots. You don't look at teams as small market. Kansas City's a great example. I've always said this. Look at the Chiefs, look at the Royals, look at the Pirates, look at the Steelers. How could they be in the same city and look completely different in their sports? And it's all because of the economic system that's set up in their sports. You want to go wild, wild west, no cap? That's baseball. That's Royals. That's Pirates. Capitalism. You want to go socialism? Socialism, I do not want in my regular world. I want it in my sports, though. And that's where you have the salary cap, and that's where Kansas City and that's where Pittsburgh can be big time. And as you mentioned, Green Bay, the smallest market of any markets, it's like zero market. It's not even a market. I mean, do people really understand? Green Bay is just a suburb. That's it. They don't really have a downtown. They don't. I mean, it's just a little area where there's homes. And they're a mecca of professional football. Why? Because of the salary cap era.
So, real quick. So, Joey McWilliams, Jed Lowry, who we saw yesterday. Jed's going to be on tomorrow morning.
One of the great A's. In the time that all the years I've been around, he's been one of the great A's. All-star, doubles machine, set the record for most doubles in a season.
Then we're going to have Dan Ortero, who is senior director of on-field operations and former A's pitcher. Will be on with us right after Jed Lowry.
The man who broke the news to us in Nashville last year off the air that the A's would not be a retractable roof in Vegas. And we was like, what? We couldn't say anything. Nor would I want to say anything at that point, because the last thing I'd want is A's Cast is reporting. But yeah, Dan Otero was the first guy to let us know that it was not going to be a retractable roof in Las Vegas. And he told us, and we can go over it again with him. This was all off air, but he's like, they did the study that they hardly ever open the roof in Texas, both in Houston and here, in Arlington down the way, and in Arizona. And they basically have to force them to do it for the postseason because the teams don't like doing it. The wind swirls inside that it's not, they don't like doing it.
Yeah, I remember.
They don't do it a lot in Toronto either.
I remember we
like
talked
you
about it for
think
the
it's a
World
good
Series.
idea, but it's actually not really a great idea. It really changes how the ballpark plays. It brings in a swirling wind, especially in Texas where it's so windy. It's just not a good. The whole retractable roof thing is not a good idea.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree.
I mean, in Seattle, the majority of the time it's closed in Seattle.
Then we're going to have David Forst, who we're taping in the morning. Mike Farron will be on this, allegedly. We'll see. He's busy talking.
All I've seen, I mean, he's had more conversations off the air. It's amazing. I don't know if this guy works.
Buster Olney from ESPN will be with us at 12:30 tomorrow.
That's a big get.
10:30 back in Northern California.
Yeah.
And then tentatively, we're supposed to have Robert Murray and hopefully Dave Roberts tomorrow.
Robert Murray, who does nothing but break stories, and Dave Roberts, future Hall of Fame manager.
Yeah, I agree. So hopefully we get Roberts tomorrow. Hopefully
that is a big line. I mean, this line. Are we approaching maybe our best lineup, our best 3 days ever at the winter meetings?
I think so. Who knows what else we'll be able to add tomorrow? Oh, we might have someone from MLB Network, maybe BK. We'll see.
All right. They all just walk by. Mark DeRosa.
Yeah, D-Ro was on my list of people I asked for because he was here. I was like, he's been on this before. One time.
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Well, he does a morning show. What's he got to do this in the afternoon?
Fair point. So there you go.
And he's strutting around. Yeah, DeRosa's strutting around these days. Have you noticed that? I saw him when I was checking in. He was coming into the hotel when I was checking in. Because, DeRosa as a player was never, Chipper Jones strutted in. DeRosa was after him. Now D-Row, now he's managed the World Baseball Classic. He's kind of strutting around a little bit.
Yeah, well.
Good for him.
Yeah, well, he's going to be a manager eventually, I think, someday.
Yeah, strutting around like you.
No, I don't do that. I am wearing Lululemon pants though, so
and your Link Sole. You are super trendy. You got your Link Sole, trendy golf, and you got your Lululemon pants.
And I have Allbirds on, which are very popular shoes amongst men and women now.
Oh my God,
they're very comfortable.
You're like what we used to call yuppies.
Well, they
I don't know what
they now call those hipsters.
They hips. Yeah, you're a hipster.
I prefer
now.
to be called trendy.
All right, that's going to do it for day 2 here at the winter meetings in Dallas. Tomorrow we start at 10 a.m., jam-packed show. You love baseball. You love the A's. No one's got you covered better than us. Thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting A's Cast Live.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
This has been a presentation of The Athletics.